with noise cancellation and voice control in the Black Tag event at Curry's PC World. Or get £50 off Bose SoundLink on-ear wireless headphones. Either way, you get 6 months free Spotify in the Black Tag event at Curry's PC World. T's and C's apply.
Looking for a phone that makes everything look crystal clear? Like the incredible iPhone XR with a liquid retina HD display? Look no further than Tesco Mobile's best ever Black Friday event. You can find an iPhone XR for just $27.49 a month, saving you £180. Be quick, this deal ends Sunday 1st of December. Tesco Mobile, every little helps.
Best ever Black Friday based on range of products in promotion was £32.49, now £27.49. Offer ends 1st of December. 36-month credit agreement, rolling monthly usage agreement, subject to status, phase policy applies. See TescoMobile.com/terms.
From the Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studio in New York, Bloomberg 1130. To Washington, D.C., Bloomberg 99.1. To Boston, Bloomberg 106.1. To San Francisco, Bloomberg 960. To the country, Sirius XM Channel 119. And around the globe, the Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Bloomberg Daybreak.
6:30 on Wall Street. Good morning. I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm John Tucker. We're just about 3 hours away from the opening of U.S. trading. Yeah, let's get you up to date on the news you need to know at this hour. U.S. futures, they are gaining after another record close for U.S. stocks, and despite downbeat data out of China. Profit and industrial companies in the country fell for the third straight month in October, and early indicators show China's economy is slowing for a seventh month in a row. For next year, Goldman Sachs chief Asia economist Andrew Tilton sees growth slowing to 5.8%.
We think overall growth for the year will be a touch lower, although over the next few quarters, we expect to see things pick up a little as and when a trade deal is done and global industrial activity picks up a bit.
On the trade deal, President Trump says Phase 1 talks with China are near completion. We get the latest from Bloomberg's Tom McKenzie in Beijing.
Trump says the US and China are now in the, quote, final throes of their talks on a partial trade deal. Still, uncertainty continues with question marks over China's commitments on agricultural purchases and any rollback of tariffs. Trump has yet to rule out imposing additional duties on Chinese goods come December 15th. In Beijing, I'm Tom McKenzie, Bloomberg Daybreak.
Tom, thanks. It's a busy day for economic data as we approach the Thanksgiving Day holiday. This morning's schedule includes readings on consumer spending, jobless claims, inflation, and third quarter growth.
Now, on the corporate front, Deere is out with top-line earnings that matched estimates. Sales outperformed in the fourth quarter, but Deere's cutting its forecast for the new year, and that has shares down more than 3% in the pre-market.
Shares of Dell Technologies dropped almost 4% in late trading. The company reported revenue below estimates and lowered its annual forecast.
Now, on the flip side, HP shares are up 1% in the pre-market. The company gave a profit forecast that topped estimates.
And on the acquisition front, Facebook is buying Prague-based Beat Games. That's the studio behind Beat Saber, a popular virtual reality game that combines music, lightsabers, and dancing. The price was not disclosed.
As for prices on the markets, it is risk on this morning with S&P futures higher by 4 points. Dow futures up 11. NASDAQ futures a gain of 20 points. DAX in Germany's up 0.25%. The CAC in Paris little changed to the upside. The 10-year's down 1/32, yield 1.74%. 2-year Treasury yield 1.58%. West Texas Intermediate crude oil's up 0.25% or 14 cents, $58.55 a barrel. COMEX gold down 0.1%, down $2, $14.65.30 an ounce. The euro's at 1.1010 against the dollar, and the yen at 109.14. Straight ahead, we have the latest world and national news. This is Bloomberg.
All right, thanks, Nathan. It is 6:33 on Wall Street. And let's get news from around the world. We say good morning once again to Bloomberg's Michael Barr.
Thank you very much, John. The House impeachment inquiry shifts into a new phase next week with a public hearing in the Judiciary Committee where President Trump will be invited to present his defense. Chairman Gerald Nadler gave Trump a December 1st deadline to say whether he or his attorney plan to participate. The hearing is scheduled for December 4th. President Trump defended his personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, but he also distanced himself from the former New York mayor's work in Ukraine. The president spoke with Bill O'Reilly.
You didn't direct him to go to Ukraine to do anything or put any heat on him?
No, I didn't direct him, but he is a warrior. Rudy's a warrior. Rudy went, he Possibly so. But you have to understand, Rudy has other people that he represents.
No, I know. He has a big firm that does that work.
I think he's done work in Ukraine for years.
President Trump also held a Keep America Great rally in Sunrise, Florida last night. Hundreds of airline catering workers protested at some of the largest U.S. airports to demand higher wages and better benefits during the busy Thanksgiving travel period. At New York's JFK Airport, Mayor Bill de Blasio joined yesterday's strike.
American Airlines, they made $1.9 billion in profit last year, but they say they can't give you the health care you deserve. That's ridiculous. This is not what we believe in New York City. This is not what we believe in the United States of America. We believe working people should come first.
Later, there were arrests after workers staged a die-in at the American Airlines terminal, then blocked a roadway. It's another setback for the vaping industry, with New York City banning sales of flavored e-cigarettes and their liquid-filled cartridges. Bloomberg's Charlie Pellet reports the ban is set to begin in July.
It is a move lawmakers said was necessary to stem an epidemic of nicotine addiction among children. Council members approved the measure by a vote of 42-2, citing City Health Department estimates that 25% of high school students have used so-called vapes or vaporized smoking devices, which they said are marketed to appeal to children with such flavors as watermelon twist and chocolate mint. Council Speaker Corey Johnson said, quote, New York City cannot wait any longer with this ban, so we're taking action today to tell the industry to back off. Charlie Pellet, Bloomberg Daybreak.
Global news 24 hours a day, on air and on TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg, John.
Michael, thank you very much. Coming up on 6:36 on Wall Street. Time now for the Bloomberg NBC Sports Update is Rob Bushka.
Good morning, John. On the ice, New Jersey with a chance to right the ship against Minnesota. They saw it slip through their fingers late, taken down by the Wild across the river 3-2. Kyle Palmieri notched his ninth goal that came on a power play assisted by Taylor Hall. But the Devils now fall to 8-11-4. Winger Miles Wood on what went wrong in the third.
Very unfortunate on our part with that goal. It went off the Taze's stick there, but I thought we fought well. We had some chances late. Wayne's line was going tonight, and they played well in the third period. They gave us a chance, and unfortunately, it didn't come through.
New Jersey will play in the lone Thanksgiving Day game when they skate Thursday night in Montreal. Big early season test for the Knicks tonight. They visit the world champion Toronto Raptors. Knicks coach David Fizdale on R.J. Barrett's availability for tonight.
They got knee and a thigh. Hey, man, Frank both got pretty good knees to the thigh, but they're saying right now questionable. But so hopefully we'll get a better diagnosis tomorrow as we can use him.
Is Kevin traveling, or is he going to stay?
No, he's traveling. He's traveling, so we'll see how he feels once he's up there. I don't think he wants to miss this one.
We're talking about RJ or Kevin?
RJ. Yeah, I don't think he wants to miss this one.
A win could turn the season around as New York is tied with Atlanta in the Eastern Conference cellar at 4-13. Tip-off is at 7:30. Nets, they tip off in Boston at 7. Kemba Walker expected to play for the Celtics after suffering a neck strain last weekend. College basketball, a stunner #1 Duke upset at home. They were a 28-point favorite. They lost on an overtime buzzer beater to Stephen F. Austin. And that's your NBC Bloomberg Sports Update. John?
Rob, thanks a lot. It is coming up on 6:38 on Wall Street.
The following commentary is from Bloomberg Opinion.
A $56 billion Thanksgiving deal feast. I'm Tara LaChapelle, a columnist for Bloomberg Opinion. It's the time of year to give thanks, especially if you're an M&A banker. Thanksgiving week in the U.S. kicked off with 4 large transactions totaling $56 billion. They include the merger of online brokerages Charles Schwab and TD Ameritrade, and Tiffany's sale to luxury house LVMH. There have been about $2.7 trillion of M&A deals globally so far this year, as a merger wave now long in the tooth continues into 2020. Deal-making in the U.S. had been expected to slow down this year in the face of a trade war with China, political turmoil, and a series of high-profile merger-related write-downs. And so the M&A market's tenacity is pretty stunning. Billions of dollars of banker fees have also been generated in the process. The feast will end sooner or later, but for now, the oven's still hot. The question remains, though, later on, will investors feel they got burned? I'm Tara LaChapelle. For more Bloomberg Opinion, please go to Bloomberg.com/opinion or OPIN Go on the Bloomberg terminal.
This has been Bloomberg Opinion.
And Bloomberg Opinion commentaries can be heard every weekday at this time, and terminal customers can read more at OPIN Go. It is now 6:39 on Wall Street, and that's time for the Bloomberg Green Report. And here's Bob Moon.
The end is near in New England. By the time the Thanksgiving weekend wraps up, a lot of Dunkin' diehards will be going cold turkey when it comes to the quirky local habit of ordering iced coffee served in a plastic cup placed inside an extra foam cup to create something of a thermos effect. The donut and coffee chain has been running an ad campaign across the region where the practice is popular to remind customers it's uncoupling and that some relationships just aren't sustainable. Polystyrene foam cups will be gone as of the end of this week as the company rolls out the switch to double-walled plastic-lined paper cups worldwide by the end of next year. It's aimed at eliminating 1 billion cups a year made from styrofoam, which some experts figure won't decompose for 500 years. Dunkin' says it understands some customers won't be happy about the change, and it turns out some are hoarding the cups, stashing them away, and even duct taping them to make them last longer. That's the Bloomberg Green Business Report. I'm Bob Moon.
And some other stories we're watching today. China is seeing solid demand for its third offering of dollar bonds in 3 years, but American investors stayed on the sidelines for the most part. So did fund managers. The bulk of the sale was taken up by banks, central banks, and sovereign wealth funds. And Bitcoin on track for its worst month of the year. The digital currency down more than 20% this month. It's fallen for 10 consecutive sessions. Right now, Bitcoin is up slightly, up about 0.6, 71.62, 80 cents. You're listening to Bloomberg Daybreak.
Why is delivering the best client experience a top priority at BNY Mellon's Pershing? Michelle Feinstein, Director of Client Engagement, explains.
Today's investors want a financial relationship that's on demand, customized, and leverages the latest digital technology. At BNY Mellon's Pershing, helping advisory firms and broker-dealers create great experiences for their clients is our priority. Through our integrated wealth experience, we give you a high-touch service, flexible technology choices, and expert insights, so you can deliver a highly personalized experience to your clients at every step, from onboarding to wealth planning, to performance analysis and more. And because we're part of BNY Mellon, you'll benefit from more than 230 years of strength and stability. At Pershing, we're personally invested in your success.
Visit Pershing.com to learn more about Pershing's integrated wealth experience. Pershing LLC and Pershing Advisor Solutions LLC are both members of FINRA and SIPC.
Have you wanted to speak a new language, but you thought it'd be too hard or take too much time? Then go to Babbel.com, download the app, and try it for free. In just 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. And right now, you can try Babbel for free. Babbel starts out teaching you words and phrases by matching them with pictures. You won't believe how easy the interactive program is. Soon the sentences get a little bigger, and before you know it, you're having simulated conversations voiced by native speakers. And because Babbel is crafted by language experts and uses the spaced repetition method, in just 10 to 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking the language of your choice with real confidence. With Babbel, you can speak a language. Just go to Babbel.com and start your first lesson in the language of your choice for free. Download the Babbel app or go to Babbel.com and try it for free. That's Babbel.com.
At Lidl, we're big on all those Christmas parties. The season to be jolly. Try our Party Time Indian snack selection for only $2.99. And our Party Time mac and cheese bites for just $1.19. Big on a Christmas you can believe in. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes an eye.
On 3, our unlimited data is actually unlimited, like for reals. That means you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the Black Friday deals.
Because we have no speed limits, no data caps, and you'll be 5G ready at no extra cost.
Wow, so many savings.
Our Black Friday deals are now on. Save up to £480. Switch to 3, in-store or online. See 3.co.uk/unlimited-data. Savings on selected phones on 24-month contracts. Ends 5th of December. Terms apply.
This year, make Christmas shopping a pleasure.
Come to Bicester Village, with over 160 beautiful boutiques set in a fairy tale Cotswolds Christmas garden, glittering by day and magically illuminated by night. After a day's hard work finding the perfect gifts, reward yourself with festive menus and cocktails at Farm Shop Restaurant and Cafe by Soho House & Co. or a delicious dinner at Cafe Wolseley. Bicester Village, the perfect place for Christmas shopping.
3 weeks we've been camped up here, just for one picture of a Himalayan snow leopard. Shh, what's that? Look, there, take the picture, quick.
I need to go.
What?
I've got to, sorry.
But this is our only chance.
It'll be here when I'm back.
No, you scared it off.
It's the Land Rover Black event and I can't miss it.
The Land Rover Black event, worth changing your plans for. Exclusive offers available from the 29th of November to the 1st of December. Search Land Rover Black event. Land Rover, above and beyond.
Keys? Check. Lunchbox? Check. 8-year-old ready to go? Check. There's one more thing you should check before you leave. Your travel. There's a new segregated section of Cycleway 4 under construction on the A200 Creek Road around the junction with Deptford Church Street. So expect delays due to lane closures. Plan ahead and check alternative routes at tfl.gov.uk. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters. Coffee shop, cashback, cat flaps, cashback, beanbags, rucksack, hire car, buy a car, flapjack, cashback, dumbbells, cashback, takeaway, holiday to anywhere the sun is at, bum bag, laptop, big match, hatchback, binge watching, paintballing, crab fishing, cashback, anything you want to buy, everywhere you want to go. Guess what? Cashback. Whatever you spend your money on, get money back every time with the American Express Platinum Cashback Everyday Credit Card. Search Amex Cashback. Representative 22.9% APR variable. Minimum annual spend to receive cashback. Terms apply. 18 plus subject to approval.
Of news and financial information 24 hours a day. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. This is Bloomberg Radio. Now, a global news update.
The House Judiciary Committee will bring in legal experts to examine the constitutional grounds for impeaching President Trump. The committee's first hearing takes place a week from today as members decide whether to write up articles of impeachment. Firefighters are hoping rainy weather will douse that wildfire threatening thousands of homes in the coastal foothills north of Los Angeles. This as millions of Americans are under winter weather conditions for this busy travel day. Ryan Yun checking on the Rockies.
At Denver Airport, hundreds of flights canceled and delayed. Snow bearing parts of Colorado in feet of snow, with nearly 21 inches following in Boulder in its third snowiest day ever.
Technology companies and retailers leading stocks modestly higher on Wall Street yesterday, leaving the major indexes at record highs for the second day in a row. Stock futures are picking up modest gains this morning. A big upset in college basketball. The Stephen F. Austin Lumberjacks beating Duke last night 85-83, ending the Blue Devils' 150-game home winning streak against non-conference opponents. I'm Michael Toscano.
Why all the top-tier experts? Because business is not a magic trick.
Give us a sense of the economic backdrop.
Bloomberg Markets.
Which financial records are these?
Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on Bloomberg Radio. Bloomberg, the world is listening.
Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And I'm Nathan Hager. Futures on Wall Street are rising. Let's head right over to the First Word Breaking News Desk for today's morning call. Here's Bill Maloney. Bill, good morning.
And good morning, Nathan. U.S. futures are somewhat quiet right now. Dow futures up 14 points. S&P's gained 4, and NASDAQ futures rise by 20. The U.S. 10 yield at 1.75%. Gold is down 3, while European markets are also trading higher this morning. And back in the U.S., a busy day on the economic front. At 8:30, GDP, core PCE, initial jobs claims, and durable goods orders. At 9:45, Chicago PMI, and at 10 o'clock, personal income, spending, PC deflator, and pending home sales. After the bell last night, VMware third quarter revenue beat the highest estimates, and Dell cut its 2020 sales forecast. Regarding earnings this morning, Deere Outlook missed estimates. And in other news, Elon Musk said that Tesla's Cybertruck orders have jumped to 250,000, and Deutsche Bank sold a $50 billion book of assets to Goldman Sachs. Wrapping things up, Dick's Sporting was raised to overweight at Barclays, and Dollar Tree cut to neutral over at JP Morgan. Live from the First Breaking News Desk, I'm Bill Maloney. Nathan?
Okay, Bill, thanks. To hear live breaking news over your Bloomberg, type squawk on the terminal, SQUAWK. That's a Bloomberg Business Flash. Now, with more on what's going on around the world, Here's Michael Barr.
Thank you, Nathan. The House Judiciary Committee intends to bring in legal experts to examine the constitutional grounds for President Donald Trump's impeachment when they meet next week. The Judiciary panel scheduled its first hearing for December 4th as it decides whether to write articles of impeachment against Trump. President Trump's campaign has said that Google is wrong for changing its rules on political advertisements. They say that new limits imposed by the most used U.S. Internet search service would suppress voter participation in the 2020 election. In the NHL, the Devils lost, the Bruins won. In the NBA, the Wizards won. A shocker in college basketball. Stephen F. Austin upset number 1 Duke in overtime at Duke, 85-83. Finally, from daybreak on the Bloomberg, happy Thanksgiving. It's time to stuff our tummies. Americans consume around 46 million turkeys, 80 million pounds of cranberries, and 50 million pumpkin pies in late November, and that's all at my house. Serving all of that food requires expert management, as professional chefs know. Some of their tips include forget time-consuming appetizers, give turkey a bacon boost, juice up gravy with sour cream, and John, when in doubt, shove a beer can in the bird to help keep it moist.
Just to be clear, it's a beer can filled with beer, Michael. I know it never makes it to that stage in your house.
Well, it made Budweiser.
Yes, is there a preferred beer for this?
No. It's just, It could be an empty beer can, man. I'll make sure it's empty. Global news 24 hours a day on air and at TikTok, on Twitter. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts, more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg, John.
All right, thank you for those cooking tips. We appreciate it. 6:50 on Wall Street. We're live from the Bloomberg Interactive Brokers studios. Time now to check on what's going on in D.C. Among our top stories out of the nation's capital this morning, Elizabeth Warren loses momentum in the 2020 race after a steady rise. Now, to walk us through this and our other stories this morning, Bloomberg Washington reporter Kathleen Hunter. Do we know why she's apparently losing some of her mojo?
Well, she has been under pretty much unrelenting attacks from her fellow Democrats over her Medicare for All proposal, which is quite expensive, to the tune of $20+ trillion. And so I think that the concern there is that this is really beginning to take a toll. The concern for Warren is that this is really beginning to take a toll, and we're seeing that in the polls. And so this, for someone that in October was rivaling Biden for frontrunner status, threatening to eclipse his lead completely, she's now essentially in a lot of polls in a statistical tie for second place with Pete Buttigieg and Bernie Sanders.
Now, is there an obvious beneficiary of the struggles here by Elizabeth Warren?
Absolutely. I mean, I think Biden is the clear biggest beneficiary in the sense that, again, he was basically at the point of being threatened to be knocked off his perch as the frontrunner. And he seems to have, re-solidified that with Elizabeth Warren's backslide. And so that's certainly, a positive development for Biden.
All right, but we should still point out it's relatively early in this campaign. On to the next story right now, Kate. The House inviting President Trump to a December 4th hearing. This, of course, the next phase of the impeachment inquiry. I'm curious, has there been a response from the White House?
Well, the White House has until December 1st to say whether or not they're going to participate in the hearing. And so I think the sense now from those close to the president is that he's likely, likely not to participate, likely not to send an attorney to the hearing. That would certainly mesh with how the White House has approached these hearings thus far. But again, I think there's been no, official statement on that. And so we'll have to kind of wait and see, particularly given we know this White House is one that tends to change its mind quite often. It's certainly possible that the thinking could be one way today and another way by December 1st.
Well, let's just explore the possibility. How would it work? Could the president's attorney question people? I mean, it sounds like it could turn into like a mini trial.
It could absolutely have the look of that. I think my understanding is that what the White House attorney would be able to, the Trump's attorney would be able to do is essentially question a panel of witnesses who are likely going to be there to testify about the constitutional basis for impeachment. And so certainly from the White House's perspective or Trump's perspective, he's, complained a lot about this process and, not being able to question witnesses. So this would be an opportunity to do that. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not the White House takes advantage of that opportunity.
Let me move on to the third story. Mr. Trump denies sending Rudy Giuliani, his personal attorney, to Ukraine for a Biden probe. I guess it begs the question, Kathleen, what was he then doing there if he was the president's attorney, and then who sent him there?
Absolutely, it does beg that question. And I think that, Trump's comments in his interview yesterday with former Fox News host Bill O'Reilly, he said that he didn't send Giuliani to Ukraine to investigate Biden, but he also had some positive words for Giuliani, calling him a warrior. So this is kind of a tactic we've seen Trump take in the past, where he, talks up Giuliani as a good guy and a good lawyer, still distancing himself from him a bit. And, it does also contradict what Giuliani himself has said and what some other impeachment witnesses have also testified to.
Yeah, the language that they're using back and forth is kind of interesting, and it kind of begs the question, to me at least, is there some hint that somebody might get thrown under the bus if push comes to shove?
I think that is a big question that people have been wondering about when it comes specifically to Rudy Giuliani. And so I think that, Giuliani himself addressed this in a recent interview and essentially said that he essentially hinted at the idea that he might have not be the best person for the White House to throw under the bus, because he might have some information that would be unhelpful to the president.
In his safe, I think.
Yeah, exactly. This was all very veiled, but certainly, that is a question that's been lingering out there now for a couple weeks.
The president's denials, is that contradicted by other testimony that we've heard?
Yes, it definitely is. It's certainly contradicted by some of the testimony that we've heard in the impeachment hearings thus far, the public hearings, and also in the transcripts that have been released. And it also, directly contradicts what Giuliani himself has said. And so that is, certainly something that I think, Trump can say that, but I think there's some evidence to the contrary.
And finally, Kate, a White House budget official said he warned his superiors that a hold on security assistance for Ukraine could be illegal. Tell us more about that. Who is this, and what exactly did he say?
So this is Mark Sandy. He was an OMB official who was responsible for national security programs, and that's the OMB is the White House office, the White House budget office. And he essentially said that, he had concerns that the hold on this security aid to the Ukraine was potentially illegal and problematic, and also that he waited months for an explanation for the delay, which he then described as unusual. And so this was in the latest set of transcripts that were released yesterday. And so this kind of adds a fresh layer to what we know now from the impeachment witnesses.
Bloomberg Washington reporter Kathleen Hunter, thanks very much. And you could read more about these stories on Bloomberg.com or on the Bloomberg Terminal. A reminder, you can follow all the latest on Bloomberg Radio in Washington, Bloomberg 99.1 and 105.7 FM HD2. Nathan.
Okay, John, thank you. It's 6:56 on Wall Street. We continue to watch shares of Deere in the pre-market. They're now down nearly 4.5%. Company came out with fourth quarter earnings and sales that beat on the top line, but it's delivering a more cautious outlook than expected for the year ahead. It's trade tensions and a slowing economy constrained demand for agricultural and construction equipment. Again, shares of Deere in the pre-market down nearly 4.5%. As for the broader market, futures are quiet this penultimate trading day of November. S&P futures are higher by 3 points. Dow futures up 6. NASDAQ futures a gain of 17 points. DAX in Germany is up 0.3%. The CAC in Paris little changed. 10 years down, 2.30 seconds. The yield 1.74%. 2-year Treasury yield just shy of 1.59%. West Texas Intermediate crude oil is up 0.33% or 20 cents, $58.61 a barrel. The euro is at 1.1009 against the dollar, and the yen is at 109.13. Bloomberg Surveillance is up next. First, though, we here at Bloomberg want to take a moment to remember one of our beloved colleagues. Bloomberg Radio's Adrian Mitchell died Sunday after a battle with cancer. Adrian anchored business reports for Bloomberg's major radio affiliates, including KNX in Los Angeles and KCBS in San Francisco. Before arriving at Bloomberg, Adrian was a well-known voice on Market Watch, Sirius XM, WTOP Radio in Washington, and Associated Press Radio. Adrian was a consummate broadcast writer. She had a unique talent for taking complex business stories and writing them in a conversational style. Her reports truly shined. Her friends at Bloomberg and at radio stations across the country will all miss her, including in the Bloomberg D.C. bureau where Adrian Mitchell was based. Adrian Mitchell was 59 years old.
Influential conversations from
I love Black Friday. Busy shops, crazy people, average deals. It's so much fun.
Said no one ever. So be savvy and do Black Friday the easy way with Smarty. Grab a huge 100 gig data SIM for just £17 a month on the Mega Plan. And with no credit checks, speed restrictions or contracts tying you down, you can kick back with the best Black Friday deal around. Now that's Smarty. Search Smarty Mobile to find out more, but hurry, as this deal won't be around for long. See smarty.co.uk for terms.
For the independent bookseller who found you that first edition. For the baker who brings the smell of freshly baked breads to your door.
And for the barista who never needs to ask your name.
We've all got a part to play.
Every little tap keeps your high street alive.
And helps your communities thrive.
So if you love where you live, shop small.
Shopping on your local high street can make a big difference. Shop small. Only by American Express.
Looking for a phone that makes everything look crystal clear? Like the incredible iPhone XR with a liquid retina HD display? Look no further than Tesco Mobile's best ever Black Friday event. You can find an iPhone XR for just $27.49 a month, saving you £180. Be quick, this deal ends Sunday 1st of December. Tesco Mobile, every little helps.
Best ever Black Friday based on range of products in promotion was £32.49, now £27.49. Offer ends 1st of December. 36-month credit agreement, rolling monthly usage agreement, subject to status, phase policy applies. See TescoMobile.com/terms.
Bloomberg.com, on the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is Bloomberg Radio. This is Bloomberg Surveillance Economics.
The good news is the economy is strong. The bad news is the economy is strong.
Financial crises take a really long time to recover from.
Finance.
The strong job market's pulling people back in.
You can't have for very long, monetary union without a fiscal union.
Investment.
What we preach is extreme diversification.
It's hard to have sustained productivity without capital investment.
Bloomberg Surveillance with Tom Keene and Paul Sweeney on Bloomberg Radio.
Good morning, everyone. Bloomberg Short Straw. Paul Sweeney and I picking the short straws.
Yes,
we are here. It is Wednesday. Lisa Abramowitz off. John Farrell on sabbatical, I believe.
Writing his manifesto still?
It's a Farrell manifesto. Somebody said, where is it? I said, MI6 is reviewing it at Scotland Yard or something like that. They are off, and we hope that you have, all of you, particularly in automobiles, on this early morning Wednesday, the 4th Wednesday of November. Just drive careful. And there's weather. I believe Rob Carolyn will be in to give us some perspective on that. We're efforting that right now with serious storms.
Denver, coming across the
Denver
Midwest.
Got hammered.
Yep, the ski resorts are happy, but everybody else is, trying to make do with the weather on this busy travel week.
What do they do at your house? I mean, is this like
we just bring everybody close to us?
Butter, the turkey, the president.
Exactly,
45 pounds. That's like
a lot to feed. Yeah, that's a lot. That's gonna be a little bit bigger than what we have in the
Can I do a shout out on what we do?
Sure.
Jerome Schneider, who's a wonderful short-term paper guy at PIMCO, he's like brilliant. And I'm moaning one day about Thanksgiving, and Jerome goes, "Well, get a Greenberg." I'm like, "What?
A what?
A what?" And Jerome Schneider turned me on to the smoked turkeys.
That's
and
what
once you have it,
you can't go
can
back?
never go
Okay.
back.
All right.
It's just that good.
All right, we'll take a look at that.
So we'll have that the munch on here. Vet Bill insisted we had that. Well, anyways, it's a Wednesday. There's a lot going on. The market's actually on a move. We've got a wonderful guest here to dive to in a second. But, Paul, I've got to interrupt and go to that one paragraph of John May, new CEO of Deere.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, is this 2020 to come? Not only talking about Moline and trade tensions, that's a direct quote, but talking about operating losses in their financing company.
Yeah, that's concerning here because we've seen that before from other conglomerates. I'm thinking General Electric back in the day. So you have to be a little bit concerned about the Farm Belt, Tom, and clearly calling out the trade war. Farmers hitting the farmers in the wallet, and we see that clearly with the results coming out from Deere.
And negative 4%, negative 4.3% on Deere, which is, of course, like the rest of the market, been a high flyer. We start strong in this hour. Greg Bottle joining us, BNP Paribas. Thrilled that he could be with us today. And one of the reasons is you have a house cautious call in the American economy. Let's start with that. Why are you cautious where others see above 2% growth?
Well, I think what the market is looking for generally is this weakness that we've seen in the manufacturing side of the economy start to mean revert, and the rest of the economy, the service side, the consumer that has been much more robust, just kind of continue on track. We think what we're actually likely to see is this weakness from the manufacturing side of the economy start to broaden out a little bit to the rest of the economy. We're not looking for a recession, but we are looking for more of a pronounced slowdown than the market is looking for.
They don't do this till CFA 5, in terms of exam. But let me ask the CFA 5 question. Caution, gloomy, it's not morning in America. Why are stocks going up?
Why are stocks going up? Well, I think what the market is doing is looking through the short-term weakness and is very much expecting a recovery next year. We had a very difficult year this year for earnings. S&P has rallied 25% this year, and we've had earnings growth of only 1%. If you X out the effect of buybacks, it's actually been negative earnings growth. So why is the market able to look through that? Because it's expecting a sharp rebound next year, particularly from some of those stocks that have underperformed, the energy, industrials, materials names. The market's looking for very strong earnings growth there. We think that's a view that's going to get challenged through Q1 if we don't see a decent rebound in the data. And I think you will start to see downgrades come through to those 2020 earnings expectations. And the market at these lofty levels, I think, could struggle to digest that.
So, Greg, I want to talk about valuation. We've had a 25% rise in the S&P 500 in 2019, yet we've had essentially, as you just mentioned, effectively no earnings growth. Where are we in terms of valuation?
It looks expensive.
Yeah.
I think if you look at, for example, growth stocks, a 1-year forward PE for growth stocks is at highs for the last 30 years, ex the TMT bubble. So there's an argument that in this environment of extremely easy monetary policy, low rates, that there should be a valuation premium. But the question is, how much is too much? And to me, it looks overextended.
So you bring up the good point, which is, I'm looking at the 10-year here, 1.75%. I've got no choice. I got to go buy stocks. I'm just going to go buy Jeff Bezos, right?
Well, I think that's what's been driving the market this year. And I think as long as earnings growth is positive, even if it's low positive, that type of attitude can play out. But the issue is if you start to see stocks under pressure, if you start to see earnings contract, then it becomes much more challenging. It is a much more risky asset class.
All right. So if I'm thinking about equities here, there's a lot of, I'll probably have half the people that walk in this studio talk about defensive, get defensive, but those are expensive. And the other half will come in and say, no, there's no recession in sight, go cyclicals. Where do you fall?
I would rather fall in the more defensive camp, but I do think you have to be careful about that. Some of the classic defensive sectors, such as the healthcare sector, is potentially subject to a huge amount of political risk next year. So I think it's very difficult to find good value defensive stocks. I think sectors such as the consumer staples, I think, would weather a downturn better than some others.
You do derivatives as well, Greg Bottle. Explain to us the convexity right now. That's the bet within the market, and when it unwinds, it goes faster. How big is the bet right now in the market? Is there, the proverbial sidelines crowded?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we've seen this week is that the VIX has broken down through the 12
What's
level.
That mean?
So it means that the expectations for future volatility are very low. And we've seen the short interest in terms of the VIX futures. So the number of people betting on that basically continuing to remain
People
low.
are betting that it will be a quiet bull market.
Exactly. So there's a larger outstanding short position on the VIX than there has been in recent history. So yeah, there's basically a bet that we're going to remain in this very low volatility risk on environment. And that creates potentially a fiercer reaction if you do get a catalyst to break us out of that.
All right. So it seems to me we are just one tweet away from this trade deal just going poof. What would that mean for the market?
Oh, come on. It's a Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I should have taken us there. But what could happen in that scenario? Is that still a risk to the market, or is the market kind of looking past trade?
The market's looking past trade, which is exactly why it is a risk. I think the market is very much pricing in the idea that this phase one deal, this ceasefire is going to get done. I think everyone accepts there are challenges further down the road. But in the short term, I think everyone I speak to expects these December deadline to pass without any further increase in tariffs, and that we reach a phase one deal. So really, for markets, the risks are if we don't, then that could have a significant impact.
What is the segmentation that I can take advantage of? Is it mid cap, small cap, large cap? Is it U.S. international? Is it the 12 stocks that are going up versus value line geometric going nowhere? What's the partition that is an opportunity?
Well, I think it depends on your view. If you buy into the idea that we are going to have a cyclical recovery, then I think those stocks that have lagged, whether it's energy, industrials, the small and mid caps in particular, do look potentially interesting. The Russell broke out through the top end of its trading range last week. So if you buy into that narrative, I think the small and mid caps could rally into the back end of the year. I think if you're worried a lot about trade, if you're worried about the US elections next year, then I do think you have to be more cautious about the NASDAQ, some of the FANG names. As I mentioned earlier, valuations for the growth stocks are extremely elevated. And typically it is the NASDAQ that has been more volatile around trade headlines and I think could be far more impacted by the politics next year.
Tom mentioned the FANG stocks. I mean, are you concerned that the breadth of the market advance this year maybe isn't as healthy as we've seen in some other advances?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. I think there's been kind of a relatively narrow subsection of the market that's been driving growth, and that very much reflects this dislocation we've seen between the manufacturing side of the economy and the service side of the economy. So absolutely, it has been a very narrow rally, and that raises the risks.
Greg Bottle, thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it. With BNP Paribas, with equities and derivatives there, and a cautious GDP view as well. Paul Sweeney, did you note that Michael Barr came in today dressed in that hideous gray Detroit Lions jersey?
Well, he's getting ready for tomorrow.
Go Lions!
Was that? I mean, you got the gray going. Was that the most difficult football jersey ever? What did you think when Detroit walked out a couple years ago with that gray, as Farrell would say, kit on?
Well, I'd like to put the two letters UGG and Lee together. And I do. I love the Honolulu blue. We've always been that. I love that color. Yeah. Keep it like that. Don't change.
Traditionalist.
Yes. No, you're 100% right. Do you eat before the game or after, or is it during? You're sitting there stuffing your face while the Lions are going. Yes. That's very good. Well, Michael Barr, business and sports. We'll touch on that here through the morning. So a great talk, Paul, yesterday with Eben Novy-Williams.
Yes.
About where this is all leading, which, am I right, Paul? Kajillions
of dollars. I'd say the NFL they had that little lull there where people were concerned about concussions and kneeling and all that kind of stuff, but that's in the rearview mirror, it seems, for the NFL, and they're going to just take the broadcast networks and the cable networks and maybe some of the technology companies to the cleaners when the next time these rights come
Kajillions is 5 times 10 to the 16th.
Exactly.
Afterthoughts doing scientific notation in 7th grade.
7th grade.
What is that about?
I was not doing that.
We were doing it like the final year in college.
Exactly.
10 to the what's a kajillion? I think it's 5 times 10 to the 16th or so. Let's do a data check, and we'll not use scientific notation. There's a lift to the market up 3. Stay with us. Worldwide, across America, this is Bloomberg.
Let's get national headlines right now with Michael Barr. Michael.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you, Tom. President Trump denied directing Rudy Giuliani to go to Ukraine to look for dirt on his political rivals. Giuliani has said publicly that he conducted an investigation concerning 2016 Ukrainian collusion and corruption on Trump's behalf. Elizabeth Warren's steady rise in the polls has shifted into reverse as attacks from her Democratic rivals over her Medicare for All plan take a toll. A Quinnipiac survey found that Warren has dropped by 14 points since October when she topped the field in the same poll. Joe Biden now has a clear lead, and Warren is in a three-way statistical tie for second with Pete Buttigieg and Bernie Sanders. An explosion at a refinery plant shook a community along the Texas Gulf Coast overnight. Although there are no deaths reported, there is damage to structures in Port Neches. Global news 24 hours a day on air and at TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts, more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg. Tom.
Very good. They just emailed in Michael Barr. Talk to Michael Barr, Ravens 49ers. We will get to that this morning. Michael Barr and the game of the weekend. Futures up 3. This Wednesday of November. This is Bloomberg.
Why has J.D. Power ranked Commonwealth Financial Network #1 in independent advisor satisfaction among financial investment firms for the 6th straight time? We think it comes down to one thing: you. Because it's your input and feedback that keeps us focused on what's most important to you and your clients and continually pushes us to be the best we can be. Maybe that's why we receive top marks in every category of the J.D. Power 2019 Advisor Satisfaction Survey. They named us #1 in client support, #1 in firm leadership, #1 in operational support, #1 in compensation, #1 in professional development support, and #1 in technology support. Ready to partner with the best? Call Commonwealth at 866-462-3638 or visit commonwealth.com and feel the power. Member FINRA SIPC, a registered investment advisor. For 2019 J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Startups and research universities like New Jersey Institute of Technology are fueling the innovation economy. And few people are better positioned to see what's on the horizon in New Jersey than physicist and state representative Andrew Zwicker.
How technology is transforming our financial sector is revolutionary, and so much of that is in New Jersey. We are innovators when it comes to agriculture, and there is opportunity now for great transformation in how are we going to grow food in an ever-growing population, and how do we turn urban centers into agricultural centers. Autonomous vehicles is another one where we have some of the world's leading experts, and how this will transform how those who are either elderly or are visually impaired or mobilely impaired can start to use autonomous vehicles to transform their lives and have access to transportation they could have never had before.
NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology. Learn more at njit.edu/research.
Asset managers who...
There is simply nothing else like it. Giraffe strut, bird swoop, gazelles leap. And as the music soars, the entire Serengeti comes to life around you. This is Disney's The Lion King. Experience it at London's Lyceum Theatre. Visit thelionking.co.uk.
At Lidl, we're big on all those Christmas parties. The season to be jolly. Try our Party Time Indian snack selection for only $2.99. And our Party Time mac and cheese bites for just $1.19. Big on a Christmas you can believe in. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes an eye.
On 3, our unlimited data is actually unlimited, like for reals. That means you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the Black Friday deals.
Because we have no speed limits, no data caps, and you'll be 5G ready at no extra cost.
Wow, so many savings.
Our Black Friday deals are now on. Save up to £480. Switch to 3, in-store or online. See 3.co.uk/unlimited-data. Savings on selected phones on 24-month contracts. Ends 5th of December. Terms apply.
This year, make Christmas shopping a pleasure. Come to Bicester Village, with over 160 beautiful boutiques set in a fairy tale Cotswolds Christmas garden, glittering by day and magically illuminated by night. After a day's hard work finding the perfect gifts, reward yourself with festive menus and cocktails at Farm Shop Restaurant and Cafe by Soho House & Co. or a delicious dinner at Café Wolseley. Bicester Village, the perfect place for Christmas shopping.
Here's Taylor Riggs on Bloomberg Technology.
We are wrapping up third quarter earnings, and the communication services sector posted some strong top-line revenue growth year-over-year, was the best, really, of all the S&P sectors. But the bottom line is telling us a different story. I was taking a look at earnings per share growth year-over-year. It's relatively muted. Still with us to break all of this down and looking forward to 2020, it is RBC analyst Mark Mahaney. And Mark, what happened in the third quarter in the middle of that income statement where profitability growth looked less than top-line revenue growth?
That was the case with a couple of the companies that were getting deeper into investment mode. I think the one that's the top of that list would be Amazon. They negatively surprised on profits because they're doubling down on this one-day investment into faster delivery, making Prime one day available. So that's an expensive investment. I think there was also actually a more interesting story at the other side of the profitability curve. We saw a couple of companies that brought forward their profitability timelines, Uber and Lyft. Snapchat is just about to print its first positive EBITDA quarter, and Pinterest is also turning the corner on profitability too. So I was actually more struck by the profitability positive inflection points than the negative one.
Thank you. That was RBC Capital's Mark Mahaney. Thanks for joining.
Hear more interviews like this one on Bloomberg Television, streaming live on Bloomberg.com and on the Bloomberg mobile app, or check your local cable listings. markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And it is now 7:17 on Wall Street. Good morning, I'm John Tucker. Bloomberg Daybreak out on customer terminals, bringing you all the news you need to start your day. So let's check in with the latest headlines. Hannah George is at the Bloomberg Daybreak desk. Good morning, Hannah.
Good morning, John. Thanksgiving travel may be worse than usual. There's heavy snow cancelling flights in Denver, a higher risk of mudslides in parts of California, and winter storm warnings from Oregon to Arizona. Bloomberg Economics says a slowdown in real consumer spending may show up in today's October PCE data. Consensus sees the PCE deflator picking up to 1.4%. JP Morgan says treasuries will weaken in 2020. The firm expects 10-year notes to yield 2.05% at the end of next year. And President Trump is denying sending Rudy Giuliani to Ukraine to dig up dirt. At the same time, Giuliani says he investigated Ukrainian collusion and corruption for Mr. Trump. For all the news you need to start your day, check out Daybreak on your mobile phone on the Bloomberg Anywhere app. John.
All right, thanks, Hannah. And we check the markets every 15 minutes throughout the trading day right here on Bloomberg Radio. Like you said, a raft of economic data today. As far as futures right now, Dow futures, they're 8 points higher. S&P futures up 4, and the Nasdaq E-mini futures 20 points higher. And that is your Bloomberg Business Flash. Tom and Paul.
Thanks so much. The Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studios here as Paul and I are trading side dishes.
Exactly.
You know, onions, cooked onions, and the rest.
Mashed potatoes.
There's a newfangled thing. Mac and cheese?
Yeah, that's a thing now.
It's un-American.
It's un-American. I'll tell you what is American is Deere and Company. They had some disappointing numbers this morning. The CEO calling out the trade uncertainty with China, kind of keeping the farmers on the sidelines. Let's get the latest. We welcome Chris Ciolino. Chris covers Deere for Bloomberg Intelligence and all that industrial stuff from the Farm Belt. So, Chris, give us a sense of what happened with Deere this morning with their earnings.
Sure, thank you. The quarter really wasn't that bad. It's really the 2020 outlook that was pretty underwhelming, and we think kind of appears overly conservative. I think it's really a case of a new CEO who just took the helm at the beginning of the month, setting a low bar and really just taking a very cautious approach given some of the uncertainties farmers are facing.
So, Chris, give us a sense of kind of how the farmers are dealing with the tariffs, the trade tensions. What's actually happening in the Farm Belt right now?
Well, they're not spending on equipment, I'll tell you that. Just given the uncertainties, not only on the trade front, but with the difficult growing and harvesting conditions that we've had this year, there's just too much uncertainty out there to really kind of induce some capital equipment investments.
Do tractors wear out? I mean, is it like modern stuff? Like, remember the revolution of tires where tires used to wear out and then they didn't? I mean, is part of Deere's challenge is the farm equipment doesn't wear out?
No, it absolutely does wear out. And if you think about, if you look at a large, high horsepower tractor, which is really what drives or moves the needle for Deere, they typically will last about 15 years. But that goes through a pretty robust trade cycle of about 4 to 5 different owners. So once you really get outside that kind of 5, 6, 7 year window, then you start seeing costs really jump exponentially, and it really makes sense to replace equipment. We've been in a prolonged downturn here, given some of the low crop prices, that there's a lot of pent-up demand out there. We just need some kind of stability on the trade and macro front to really kind of induce some of this buying. We're still more than 50% below the prior peak, so there is pent-up demand.
So, Chris, when we see the president and this administration touting the cash payments, subsidies to the Farm Belt to kind of compensate for some of the tariff issues, how is that kind of getting into farmers' pockets? Are they not spending it? What's going on with those dollars?
So it helps. Typically, when we've seen this in the past, farmers do not use aid payments to go towards buying new equipment. What they'll do is they'll pay down debt. They'll kind of put it away for a rainy day. You've seen kind of farm fundamentals kind of deteriorate here. So I suspect a lot of that will be going to just kind of paying down some of their debts and kind of maintaining their current financial conditions, and then when there's some kind of clarity on the trade front, maybe then we start to see that trickle into some equipment spending. We just don't see that as a big catalyst for an acceleration in equipment demand here in the near term.
If we go flat or we get those two negative statistics that came out headlined, does Deere have the elasticity, the responsiveness operationally to cost size quickly? I mean, they've done it before. Is it all there to be done again?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think they're probably in the early innings of that. Last quarter, they threw out a 15% mid-cycle operating margin target, and I suspect the cost side is going to be a very large component of that. We'll probably get more details here on the call, but I think it's going to be a cost story really to drive some of the near-term margin improvement.
Christian, thanks for jumping on the line with us for these Deere numbers.
Before the call.
Yeah, I noticed he was in bright and early, Tom, getting ready, as was Karen Ubelhard. They follow that farm equipment, that big manufacturing stuff for Middle America. They get in here early and breaking down the numbers for Deere.
Explain before the call. So many of our listeners have never been on a call. The PR guy, in this case, Ken Golden, comes on and goes, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Who speaks first?
Get the CEO first. The CEO will give you kind of the big picture, the thematics, the vision, and then the CFO.
That's all upbeat, happy.
Well,
smile.
I think it's, it depends. I think, different managers have different CEOs have different theories. I think most investors will say, just give me the news. Don't give me the spin. Give me the news in the market. We'll figure it out. And then the CFO will come on and kind of give you the income statement, the balance sheet, the nitty gritty.
Right.
And then the most important part is the second half of the call, which is the Q&A. And that's when analysts and investors can get on and ask questions.
We'll just stop. Analysts get on and ask questions, and are they under pressure to ask not the wrong question or impolite question? Because, am I right? They won't get asked again?
That's very possible. So for the challenge for an analyst is to ask an important, insightful, meaningful question without kind of offending, if you will, the management team, so that you will continue to have a good, positive relationship with management. They will give you access. They will talk to you. They will let you bring investors around.
Are buy side treated differently? Like if Wellington or PIMCO's on the call, do they ask a different question?
Absolutely.
Than the sell side?
Leon Cooperman will come on and say, "What the heck are you guys doing?" This was. I mean,
good, my kind of call.
Exactly. That's why they tend not to get the questions on the call.
I'm going to do a shout out to one James Diamond. He runs a small bank in New York. He runs a call better than anybody else. There's a ton of energy and zero BS. The call, the Deere call, Bloomberg News, of course, will follow that in report this morning. This is Bloomberg. Good morning.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Shares of Deere are down before the opening bell. The tractor maker delivered a more cautious outlook than expected for the coming year as trade tensions and a slowing economy constrain demand for farming and construction equipment. Deere did beat profit and sales estimates in the latest quarter. Well, stocks will start at record highs today. The futures are slightly higher as well. Dow futures up 6. NYMEX crude at $58.60 a barrel. California has won a minor ruling against Uber in a case that stands to open up a bigger front in the fight by drivers for better benefits, especially for those who make airport runs and cross state lines. A state judge suggested such drivers may not be subject to Uber's arbitration requirement because they are involved in interstate commerce. Noting similar cases in Philadelphia and in Minnesota, the judge said it was useful for fact gathering to move forward in the case because California's labor commissioner requested it. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
Business is constantly evolving. Is your financial printer evolving to keep ahead of the curve? At Command Financial, we are redefining financial printing by providing industry-leading expertise, leveraging technology, and honing processes and best practices. Every day, Command helps SEC registrants, as well as members of their working groups, including securities attorneys and investment bankers, prepare, file, and disseminate regulatory and disclosure documents, such as registration statements, M&A documents, and mutual fund prospectuses and reports. Command provides a full range of services to help you effectively complete your deal, meet your disclosure requirements, and achieve your shareholder communications objectives. Visit our website at commandfinancial.com and learn how we're evolving, not only with the times, but also with your business requirements. Command Financial, redefining financial printing.
imagine.
I love Black Friday. Busy shops, crazy people, average deals. It's so much fun.
Said no one ever. So be savvy and do Black Friday the easy way with Smarty. Grab a huge 100 gig data SIM for just £17 a month on the Mega Plan. And with no credit checks, speed restrictions or contracts tying you down, you can kick back with the best Black Friday deal around. Now that's Smarty. Search Smarty Mobile to find out more, but hurry, as this deal won't be around for long. See smarty.co.uk for terms.
There is simply nothing else like it. Giraffe strut, bird swoop, gazelles leap. And as the music soars, the entire Serengeti comes to life around you. This is Disney's The Lion King. Experience it at London's Lyceum Theatre. Visit thelionking.co.uk.
At Lidl, we're big on all those Christmas parties. The season to be jolly. Try our Party Time Indian snack selection for only $2.99. And our Party Time mac and cheese bites for just $1.19. Big on a Christmas you can believe in. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores excludes an eye.
The S in Audi S-Line stands for many things like sporty, stylish, streamlined, and now seductively priced. Like the new Audi A4 S-Line, which you can now have from £359 per month, £2,154 initial rental. Test drive one at your local Audi centre, but you'll have to be swift. The offer ends soon. Search Audi S-Line. Audi, Vorsprung durch Technik. With 48-month contract hire, 10,000 miles per annum, 18s and over, subject to status, damage charges may apply, no ownership. Ordered by 31st of December 2019 from participating centres. Audi Financial Services, visit audi.co.uk.
Looking for a phone that makes everything look crystal clear? Like the incredible iPhone XR with a liquid retina HD display? Look no further than Tesco Mobile's best ever Black Friday event. You can find an iPhone XR for just $27.49 a month, saving you £180. Be quick, this deal ends Sunday 1st of December. Tesco Mobile, every little helps.
Best ever Black Friday based on range of products in promotion was £32.49, now £27.49. Offer ends 1st of December. 36-month credit agreement, rolling monthly usage agreement, subject to status, phase policy applies. See tescomobile.com/terms.
This Black Friday, get Sky Entertainment for £22 a month, then feel it all with a spectacular 50% off Sky Sports, including the Manchester Derby and the darts. Build your perfect bundle today. Choose any or all of our Sky TV packages and get an incredible 50% off. Hurry, join today. Visit sky.com. Offer ends 2nd of December. New 18-month minimum terms or 31 days notice to cancel depending on package. Discount on standard pricing with same minimum terms. Set up £25. Kit loaned at no cost.
Casting live from the Bloomberg Interactive Brokers Studio in New York. Bloomberg 1130 to Washington, D.C. Bloomberg 99.1 to Boston. Bloomberg 106.1 to San Francisco. Bloomberg 960 to the country. Sirius XM Channel 119 and around the globe. The Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Bloomberg Surveillance.
We are 2 hours away from the opening bell. Let's get you updated on the news you need to know at this hour. Global stocks are gaining after President Trump said trade talks between the U.S. and China are, quote, in the final throes. That has S&P futures marginally higher after yesterday's record close. On the earnings front, Deere & Company is providing a cautious outlook for 2020. It seems trade tensions and difficult growing conditions keeping farmers from replacing equipment. That has shares of Deere down 3% in early trading. And Deutsche Bank is selling another chunk of unwanted assets to Goldman Sachs. The firm's unloading securities valued at around $50 billion as part of a restructuring that's seen Deutsche Bank exit businesses where it's been unable to compete. That's what's going on in the world of business. Now let's get you up to date on other news around the world with Bloomberg's Michael Barr. Michael.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you, Tom. While Congress remains on Thanksgiving break, Democrats are already preparing for a busy December in the impeachment inquiry. Once Congress returns to session, it is the House Judiciary Committee that will take center stage. Chairman Jerry Nadler writing in a letter addressed to President Trump that on December 4th, the panel will hold its first hearing in the probe. Meanwhile, President Trump discussed the recent activity of the House impeachment inquiry. The president spoke at a rally in Sunrise, Florida.
We won these last 2 weeks so solidly. But if you pick up the New York Times, if you pick up this crazy Washington Post, you would have no idea we won. But you know who knew it? The people knew it. And that's why they don't want to have this. They don't want to see it. go on. It probably will because the people are nuts. They're nuts.
A chemical company says 3 people were injured in an explosion at its plant in East Texas. The powerful blast in Port Neches blew out the windows of homes. Global news 24 hours a day on air and at TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg. Paul, Tom?
Michael Barr, thank you so much. Let's get your sports news now with Bloomberg NBC Sports Report. Here's Rob Bushka.
It's not often that both basketball and hockey teams are idle on the same day, so it was a perfect chance for the Devils to capture our attention, but it was all for naught, though. Their tough season continues. They fell 3-2 at home to Minnesota. Kyle Palmieri had a goal in a losing cause. His 9th of the year came on a power play. Devils fall eight, 11, and 4. Both New York teams are in action tonight, though. The Rangers host the Hurricanes at 7, followed by the Islanders skating out west in L.A. against the Kings at 10 o'clock. To basketball, the Knicks and Nets both getting their pre-Thanksgiving workouts tonight. The Nets visit the Celtics at 7. The Knicks north of the border to play the Raptors at 7:30. College basketball, number 1, Duke. Thankful it's an early season. November losses still should affect their seeding, though. Come March, they're upset by Stephen F. Austin, 85-83 in overtime on a buzzer beater at home. They were a 28-point favorite. In football, the Jets expected to get cornerback Darryl Roberts back this week from a calf injury. And that's your NBC Bloomberg Sports Update. Paul?
Rob Bushka, thank you so much. You've had your news. You've had your sports, including that incredible Duke news. Let's give you a data check right now with the S&P up 3.5 points here. The Dow up 6 points.
That incredible Duke. Did you see how he went right over that, Michael?
Boy, what happened? 28-point favorite. They got upset. First time in like a gajillion years losing
15 years.
15 years. There you go. Thank you, Michael.
15 years this hasn't happened at Duke.
No. So, hey, the mighty fall. Kentucky got beat by Evansville. Here you go. So, anyway, that's where we live.
Save yourself for the data check.
I will, because we have the NASDAQ up 17. I'm just looking at the 10-year. Basically no movement in the 10-year, but down 130 seconds. Yield 1.75%. The 2-year 1.58. Looking at the Treasury yields. This is Bloomberg Surveillance.
From our world headquarters in New York, good morning, everyone. John Farrell off, Lisa Abramowitz off, Paul Sweeney and Tom Keene. We are here. Let's get to it with futures up for the Bloomberg NJIT STEM report, always brought to you by New Jersey Institute of Technology, transforming computing professionals into data scientists to meet demand in this fast-growing field. More at njit.edu/Jersey City. Here's Bob Moon.
Tom, Paul, good morning. Here's what's making news in science, technology, engineering, and math. Senate Democrats are proposing a broad federal data privacy law that would allow people to see what information companies have collected on them and demand that it be deleted. The bill is similar to one set to take effect in California in January, but it would largely leave that and other state laws in place, a move that's certain to face opposition from the tech industry, which has been calling for a single federal data privacy law. Amazon.com is trying to break Alexa away from its robotic monotone, giving developers tools to make the software sound excited or disappointed. The company just rolled out that capability in an update to its market-leading home voice assistant, offering a range of options that take Alexa from quite excited
I'm playing a single hand in what looks like a losing game
to downright morose.
I'm playing a single hand in what looks like a losing game.
The default Alexa voice has been a sore spot for some software developers who have wanted it to be more engaging and customizable. In addition, by measuring a speaker's tone and word choice, Alexa can actually detect when users are frustrated with, say, a botched response to a command. And if you've been upset about not being able to send Baby Yoda GIFs, chill, you must. A database of the many videos you may have seen plastered all over social media says the Baby Yoda GIFs are back in play. Jiffy had been removing GIFs of the Star Wars character from the new Disney Plus streaming series, The Mandalorian, and that led to speculation that Disney had blocked them over copyright concerns, but Jiffy says it was its decision, and it has apologized to Disney for doing so. That's the Bloomberg NJIT STEM report. Tom, Paul.
Yeah, Bob, thanks so much. Al from New Jersey emails in and says, Tom, you could be replaced by an Alexa.
Yeah. Now that Alexa,
you agree with Al from New Jersey?
I'm looking at Alexa.
Okay,
I mean,
great.
now she's got range in her voice.
Range,
and all kinds
put a bow tie
Bob Moon
on.
bringing it.
5 things you need to know to start your day. Brought to you by Interactive Brokers. Their margin loans start at 3.06% and decrease for larger loan values. Rates subject to change. Learn more. Do that at ibkr.com/compare. Okay, it's a special Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Bread and butter, the two turkeys. The president pardoned them, and in it, Paul, he moved the trade deal forward. Now he's waiting for a better deal with China.
I think he's pushing for a better deal. I mean, he is the great negotiator, so we'll see. We'll see what kind of mood the Chinese are in here. But you would think both sides are incented for a deal.
Certainly, yeah, and we're hearing that. We heard that from our Jonathan.
And I think that's what the market's discounting.
Well.
The market's discounting that a phase 1 deal is certainly possible.
What happens a year after up 25%? Is there a Sweeney theme to that?
I would personally, I would be comfortable with some kind of mid to high single digit kind of thing, something a little GDP plus kind of return. But I think it depends in large part on kind of what we get on the trade side.
And then we get the bond side, which is dividend growth is a yield equivalent. And that gets back to a big total return year for long duration. I mean, you made 9, 10, 12%.
Yeah, the fixed income folks have had a wonderful year in total return.
Do we clip a coupon next year is the heart of it.
I think so. I think that's kind of where you're looking at. And again, I think most fixed income investors would be pretty comfortable with that.
We got a special 5 things you need to know today. We're thrilled that Michael Barr could join us. Let's begin with a summary, Paul Sweeney, of the Magic in Burbank. They're having a good Thanksgiving in Burbank.
Stocks, all-time high. Everybody's happy except Al from Jersey. He always wants more from his Disney holdings, but I think everything's kind of working here. And I think what's amazing here is we know the theatrical is just a juggernaut, but the real issue for Disney is this pivot to streaming all of their content. Will they make an economic return, over the next 5 to 10 years? The jury is still very much out on that, but investors are giving them certainly a pass.
It's not just ticket sales. I mean, if they do 130 gajillion and then the next weekend they go down, they do only 110 gajillion.
Right.
That's 240 gajillion in 14 days.
Exactly right. And this is this Frozen 2 is going to be another $1 billion plus global box office. It looks
music, copyright, the rest of it.
Yep, just extraordinary. And that goes to merchandise and then the theme rides, and you know how Disney plays.
We're all Philadelphia today, so in honor of Dick Clark, we're going to do rate a record here. And of course, a scale of 35 to 98. And the Michael Barr joins our celebrity guest today. Michael, it's got a good beat and you can dance to it.
Yeah.
The magic of American Bandstand from years ago. None of us have seen Frozen. The control room has like 47 kids between them. They've all seen it 5 times. They demanded that we listen to Into the Unknown. Can we do that, Ken?
I've had my adventure. I don't need something new. I am afraid of what I'm risking if I follow you into the unknown.
No.
So do a lot of other people.
I'm not knocking the music. I mean, it's a lot of effort
this is American
into it.
Bandstand. Cut to it.
Well,
did you like it or not?
Who's the singer? His voice is outstanding.
That's
true. Wow.
She's
extraordinary.
Yeah. The range.
Wow.
But
it's not.
I wouldn't listen to it in the car.
It's going to grow on you because it's Disney.
Like mold? Yeah.
Okay, let's rate this one. I mean, come on. It's got the beat. Goes from a minor key to major. It's a message for young girls worldwide.
All the girls.
Can we get depressed for Thanksgiving? How many times have you seen Frozen?
I've seen it once, and that was one too many.
Once?
Yes.
I think I've seen it 25 times.
See, I've got boys.
Have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy Frozen 2.
Never bothered me anyway.
Have you wanted to speak a new language, but you thought it'd be too hard or take too much time? Then go to Babbel.com, download the app, and try it for free. In just 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. And right now, you can try Babbel for free. Babbel starts out teaching you words and phrases by matching them with pictures. You won't believe how easy the interactive program is.
Soon the sentences get a little bigger, and before you know it, you're having simulated conversations voiced by native speakers. And because Babbel is crafted by language experts and uses the spaced repetition method, in just 10 to 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking the language of your choice with real confidence. With Babbel, you can speak a language. Just go to Babbel.com and start your first lesson in the language of your choice for free. Download the Babbel app or go to Babbel.com and try it for free. That's Babbel.com.
Why has J.D. Power ranked Commonwealth Financial Network #1 in independent advisor satisfaction among financial investment firms for the 6th straight time? We think it comes down to one thing: you. Because it's your input and feedback that keeps us focused on what's most important to you and your clients and continually pushes us to be the best we can be. Maybe that's why we receive top marks in every category of the J.D. Power 2019 Advisor Satisfaction Survey. They named us #1 in client support, #1 in firm leadership, #1 in operational support, #1 in compensation, #1 in professional development support, and #1 in technology support. Ready to partner with the best? Call Commonwealth at 866-462-3638 or visit commonwealth.com and feel the power. Member FINRA SIPC, a registered investment advisor. For 2019 J.D. Power Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
With the Bloomberg Business of Sports Report, I'm Michael Barr.
There is simply nothing else like it. Giraffe strut, bird swoop, gazelles leap. And as the music soars, the entire Serengeti comes to life around you. This is Disney's The Lion King. Experience it at London's Lyceum Theatre. Visit thelionking.co.uk.
On 3, our unlimited data is actually unlimited, like 4 reels. That means you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the Black Friday deals.
Because we have no speed limits, no data caps, and you'll be 5G ready at no extra cost.
Wow, so many savings.
Our Black Friday deals are now on. Save up to £480. Switch to 3, in-store or online. See 3.co.uk/unlimited-data. Savings on selected phones on 24-month contracts. Ends 5th of December. Terms apply.
It's the perfect moment for Christmas shopping at Bicester Village. It's magical savings at Bicester Village with an additional up to 40% off the village price at participating boutiques. Magical savings from Thursday the 28th of November to Monday the 2nd of December. Magical savings. The pleasure of luxury for less. Bicester Village, the perfect place for Christmas shopping.
Every day it's a little
Disney's Frozen 2.
Anna,
Elsa,
Kristoff,
Sven. The worldwide phenomenon has returned, captivating critics everywhere.
I believe in you, Elsa, more than anyone or anything.
With big laughs and even bigger songs. Disney's Frozen 2, in cinemas now.
I'll bring the snacks! Hey, NFL fan, can't watch the game? Can't be there? We've got you covered. With TuneIn Premium, you can listen to every NFL game live as it's happening.
LaShawn McCoy has an opening on the right side, punches into the end zone for the touchdown.
Or catch it later on demand.
Offset backs behind Mahomes. The give is to Williams. Starts right, cuts it back to the left, and blows into the end zone for the touchdown.
You call the plays. Follow the NFL anytime, anywhere, all season long with TuneIn Premium. Upgrade today.
And at TikTok on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in over 120 countries. This is Bloomberg Radio. Now, a global news update.
It's often called the busiest travel day of the year. Today, the day before Thanksgiving. But as you're trying to get to Grandma's house, Mother Nature's not cooperating with 2 big, powerful storm systems. Blinding snow falling fast now in southern Minnesota as that storm tracking through the Midwest will begin to spread rain into the Northeast. A second major storm system tracking toward the West Coast. Meteorologist Karen McGinnis says it's not just snow, it's also wind in many areas.
The wind is going to be problematic, not just for Detroit, Chicago, and Indianapolis, and St.
Louis, but even for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Might see some of the wind gusts outside the parameters there. We'll keep you updated on that. And for the airports, problematic because of volume, but mostly because of the weather.
The House Judiciary Committee is set to take over the impeachment probe of President Trump, scheduling a hearing next Wednesday of next week as they push toward a possible vote on charges of high crimes and misdemeanors. Stock futures showing modest gains ahead of the opening bell. I'm Michael Toscano.
Why all the top-tier experts? Because business is not a magic trick.
Give us a sense of the economic backdrop.
Bloomberg Markets.
Which financial records are these?
Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on Bloomberg Radio. Bloomberg, the world is listening. Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And it is 7:47 on Wall Street. Good morning. I'm John Tucker. U.S. equity futures edging up. Definite risk on field to stocks today, but given that tomorrow's Thanksgiving, I would expect that volume is going to be pretty light today. Stocks climbed globally. The risk on move that's driven American benchmarks to record highs, showing few signs of abating at this point. As you look at the dollar right now, that's steady before the release of, we get a slew of economic data today. This comes before the release of the jobs and personal spending data from the U.S. economy. We have right now Dow futures 2 points higher, S&P futures, they are up 3 points, and the NASDAQ E-mini futures 15 points higher. We check the markets for you every 15 minutes during the trading day right here on Bloomberg Radio. I'm John Tucker. That is your Bloomberg Business Flash. Tom and Paul.
John, thanks so much. Okay, over the holiday, you're going to get through Wednesday, you get through Thursday, Friday, you got Bears, Lions, Bills, Cowboys, Saints, Falcon. We'll talk about it in a minute. And then there's that quiet in the house.
Yep.
Where you go, how'd we do this year in the market? And then there's that silence.
We did pretty well.
Pretty well.
Pretty darn well.
But we didn't do...
the 25% move in the S&P 500.
William Sells will parachute in from HSBC Private Banking and give us perspective right now. William, what do you say to the thousands and thousands of good, smart people who have not participated? How do they catch up with equity return?
Well, for a start, one needs to be invested because cash, we know, is not going to give you much return at all. Rates, Fed is no longer going to cut, but the rate remains very low. So be invested somewhere in the middle of the risk spectrum. So in the bond market, that's investment grade and emerging market, hard currency and local currency bonds. In the equity markets, that's quality stocks, and also those stocks that are supported by long-term structural trends, technology, etc.
Yeah.
Not too cyclical, not too defensive.
I was remiss in when I spoke to you earlier, Willem, I didn't mention Europe. We talked a lot about Asia, the Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation tradition there. But what about Europe? With all the upset there, are they at fire sale valuations?
So it's interesting. Over the last few weeks, the U.S., but even Europe, and even more so than the U.S., has started to jump on the cyclical trade. Basically people believing that we have seen kind of the bottom of economic activity. I think that, we still need to see whether that's correct. Also, even if it is the bottom, it will still be a very slow economy. In terms of valuations, I think relative to the U.S., yes, there is a gap, but the gap has not widened. It's not spectacularly cheap. You don't have that much technology, so that explains part of the difference. And, there are a few very, very cheap stocks in Europe, but that's for good reasons. So I don't find the valuations, a big trigger. For those valuations to be unlocked, you need to become more optimistic about politics, about, economics as well. So I think that it will remain a relatively cheap market.
So, Willem, if you can count me as a bull on trade, I think that trade deal is going to get done. Does that mean I should really take a harder look in 2020 on emerging markets?
Yeah, so, I think the question is whether that trade deal will include also a reduction in tariffs. If indeed there is a reduction in tariffs, I think that is bullish indeed. We are long-term bulls, as you know, on Asia and on emerging markets. We think the structural growth of the emerging market consumer in particular is very promising. And then obviously you have a technology sector in China, which is quite strong as well. We've been looking at more sort of these longer-term trends. And stay invested in that. If you have a trade agreement, then obviously you will have a cyclical upside as well. But I think it's a safer bet to stick to those structural themes because we don't particularly want to stick our neck out on politics.
As it relates to Asia, I know HSBC, Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation, tremendous history in that part of the world. How should investors here in the U.S. view what's going on in Hong Kong? How does that throw a chill on that part of the world in terms of the attractiveness for investing?
I don't particularly want to comment on the Hong Kong situation. I think if you look at the emerging markets, about 50% of economic growth for the world as a whole is going to come from the emerging markets over the next 5 years. About 70% for the next 10 years. Typically, an American investor has something like 6 or 7% of their portfolio in the emerging market. So there isn't a discrepancy there, and I would take the long view. These markets are opening up. More and more of these stocks are being included in indices. And if you believe indeed what the IMF is saying, you need to be present.
Willem, what do you do with the Amazons and the Apples of the world? Maybe less so Amazon, but if these stocks that have just given us outsized return this year, what do you do? Just hold them and carry forward, or do you actually sell them and create a taxable event and move to something else?
Yeah, so I mean, the consumer is going to remain digital, right? So, I think there is this continued support there, which is, in part, by the way, why, inflation is so low. The consumer has all the power there. But I think there is, technology is much broader than just the platforms. It's about, in each sector, really, there are, basically about 5% of companies that create all of the productivity growth. The others are laggards. And the reason is that those 5% are the ones that use technology to their advantage in their logistics, in their marketing, their advertising, etc. Those are the things to look at. So let's not obsess too much just about the platforms. Let's look at technology, across the sectors.
Jeffrey, you at UBS was talking about all the cash that's out there. Where does all the cash that's out there, will themselves, where does it go to? How does it dispersed?
Yeah, so it's indeed there is a lot, as you're saying, into those new technology companies in the equity market. There is quite a bit that is going into dividend stocks because obviously you have a yield hungry investor base. Yeah. The danger is that people get either into cash because they don't find the bond market attractive, or they are not holding safe haven bonds anymore because of negative yield. So if you don't do that, then obviously you need to find your diversification somewhere else. So they're going into hedge funds, but even more so into private equity, private debt, because that is a growing market. More and more companies stay private. We think that it takes the timing decision away and helps you look through the cycle.
William Sells, thank you so much. William Sells with HSBC. Greatly appreciate it. Just brilliant note. I really, Paul, can't convey enough how HSBC was so alone last year with David Bloom, with that call of a resilient, even stronger dollar, totally alone. Yep. Nailed that. Yep. And their equity call last year was an act of God. It was like something I've never seen. It was really extraordinary how they said, get on board. Remember the fear last year?
Yes.
Into December 24th.
Of course. Oh, my goodness.
It was stunning.
Yeah.
It was legitimate, folks. It wasn't like made up by the media.
There was a confluence of trade, a confluence of the Fed, some economic data, just everything coming together.
Let's synthesize the first holiday season of streaming. And what I find fascinating is everybody wants a beachhead. So as a generalization, Paul, they're giving it away, maybe X dollar per month, but they're giving it away. And then at some point they rotate to revenue. At some point, they rotate to profit. Says who?
Says, we're looking at Netflix. You could look at Netflix as a guide here. So Netflix is still free cash flow negative to the tune of $3 billion. But if you break it down, their domestic markets, the U.S. market is actually profitable. It's free cash flow positive. That took, 5, 6, 7 years to get there.
7 years.
And their international markets obviously are still negative. But there is a path to profitability there. That's a term that's come into the marketplace after Uber and Lyft and so on. But there is a path to profitability there. So when you look at Disney, I think they're looking at the similar playbook here. They're saying they're not going to break even on Disney Plus and all the streaming businesses for 4 to 5 years. And so that just gives you, and they're going to spend, a couple of $1 billion a year in losses building up this business. So it just gives you a sense of the capital required for this business. It's not an easy business. And then there's no, you're not sure you're going to actually be profitable at the end of the day. Who's going to be kind of left standing? That's going to be the real question, is how many services are you and I going to want to subscribe to?
Michael Barr, I believe it was, I can't remember who, was talking about Baby Yoda. I haven't seen this thing yet, but am I right that Disney Plus already has a hit with this Star Wars
Mandalorian?
Mandalorian?
Yeah. So all the Star Trek fans out there, are pretty positive on it, and that kind of just goes to the fact that, boy, they've just got some extraordinary content, and if they can do it right, you think that they're going to be successful.
Paul, you speak about content. I mean, I look at ESPN. It's critical that ESPN get constructive content.
The Lumberjacks
apparently have done it. They'll look a little longer, but this is going to be the biggest win in program history.
The Lumberjacks.
ESPN as the Lumberjacks bring it on. I mean, that's what it's all about. Think of the recruiting. Well, of course we know what we're talking about, Rich. It's Duke basketball.
And who
down in flames to the Lumberjacks. Stephen F. Austin.
Stephen F. Austin.
Oh, watch yourself. We have a huge contingent from Stephen F. Austin that win every day. It's what makes it fun. I mean, you have these throw-off games at the beginning of the season.
Exactly right. Yeah, it's exactly right. That's why, live sports continues to be the big winner in all this cord-cutting stuff. People are still going to want to see that Stephen F. Austin beat the Dukes in Cameron Indoor Stadium.
Do we miss Farrell?
No.
Should we play British? Let's play British music for John Farrell. This is Bloomberg.
This is a Bloomberg.
EasyJet fly to a wide range of ski destinations from London. So whether you want to go all out on a classic Alps experience or fancy something a little more low-key, it's smoother than ever, and you'll be there before you know it. Book now at easyjet.com.
On 3, our unlimited data is actually unlimited, like for reals. That means you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the Black Friday deals.
Because we have no speed limits, no data caps, and you'll be 5G ready at no extra cost.
Wow, so many savings.
Our Black Friday deals are now on. Save up to £480. Switch to 3, in-store or online. See 3.co.uk/unlimited-data. Savings on selected phones on 24-month contracts. Ends 5th of December. Terms apply.
At Asda this Christmas, treat them to a gift or 2, or 3. With 3 for 2 on a wide range of beauty and toiletry gift sets. From Dove, Lynx, Bayliss and Harding and many more. Asda, let's make Christmas extra special. Selected stores and lines subject to availability. Individual prices £1 to £20. Cheapest item free.
24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, on the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is Bloomberg Radio. This is Bloomberg Surveillance Economics.
The good news is the economy is strong. The bad news is the economy is strong.
Financial crises take a really long time to recover from.
Finance.
The strong job market's pulling people back in.
You can't have for very long, monetary union without a fiscal union.
Investment.
What we preach is extreme diversification.
It's hard to have sustained productivity without capital investment.
Bloomberg Surveillance with Tom Keene and Paul Sweeney on Bloomberg Radio.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Paul Sweeney and Tom Keene. Bloomberg Surveillance, the 4th Wednesday of November. John Farrell, so off. He's in the kitchen right now.
Yep.
He goes, Tom, 15-pound turkey. I said, John, you can't get it in the oven.
No.
He took it back. He got a smaller one.
Good. He's got a small New York City apartment.
Have you seen his apartment?
No, I have not.
It's like 4 bedrooms.
Palatial. Yep,
he has a view. Like, he can't see JFK, but he can see the planes going into JFK.
That's exactly what I would expect.
It's like, it's like something out of a Spielberg movie or something.
It's a flat.
It's a flat, yeah, as they say. Lisa Abramowitz off, very important. She's having like the holistic farm girl.
Yep.
everything's organic. And, she went over to Whole Foods on Columbus Avenue and loaded up. And here we are. We're slaving away, which is what we're doing. And we hope you drive careful today, coast to coast. We say good morning. San Francisco, your early morning. Of course, Boston 106.1 FM. I have been remiss. I did not mention the clinic last night of the said Bruins.
Oh, yeah?
On the Montreal Canadiens.
Oh, boy. Yep.
They did what every championship-bound team does. When the other team made a mistake,
capitalize.
Boom.
Yep.
It wasn't once. It was once.
Do you think this might be the year for the Bruins?
They look, it's way too early with injuries and all, but oh my word.
All right, we'll get Lukawa in. We'll talk hockey.
Yeah, we'll talk hockey here in a bit. Good morning, Washington, 99.1 FM. Good to see butter and bread survived with a presidential pardon. Bloomberg 1130. Where are we on the Macy's parade? Like wind and they're like managing the message?
I think we're going to be, it's a go, but I'm not sure. We'll have to get a news update on that.
We will see. Bloomberg surveillance this morning, and we thank Cone Resnick for their support. Always brought to you by Cone Resnick. Transform your tax game. The Cone Resnick team can help dealmakers develop a winning tax strategy. Visit ConeResnick.com/tax insight. And we say thank you to our sponsors throughout all the year, and particularly the leadership, among others, of Cone Resnick. We greatly appreciate their efforts as they work coast to coast in accounting and business advice. Futures up 4, Dow futures up 9. Paul, it's just simple. No volume up.
Nope.
Right?
Yeah, no volume up. Just a little bit in the market.
Math.
Yep, just a little bit in the market. Little positive trade talk.
Dow 30,000?
Yeah, we're on the watch. I think we're on the watch.
Okay, so this is important. I mean, worldwide, people are celebrating Thanksgiving. Francine's making a go of it in London. The American Women's Club of Luxembourg.
There is such a thing?
Yes,
okay.
Of course there is.
Of course.
It's a diplomacy headquarters. And on Boulevard Pierre Dupont, this past Saturday, they held Thanksgiving dinner.
Nice.
So we say good morning to all listening in Luxembourg at the American Women's Club and in finance in Luxembourg. Why don't you bring in the gentleman from Luxembourg?
Sebastian Galli, Nordea Asset Management Senior Macro Strategist. Sebastian, thanks so much for joining us on this Thanksgiving Eve. Give us a sense, you're on the ground there. Just give us a sense of the European economies. There's growing talk that maybe Europe, the economies have bottomed, they've stabilized, and if that's so, is there a call for some type of acceleration across Europe?
Not yet. I think the economies are either flat or slowing down, particularly led by Germany. So what we believe is going to happen within 1 or 2 quarters is we do actually get a rebound. And part of the rebound will be a European story. It's a great story in France. It's a great story in the periphery, what you would call Italy, Spain, Greece, and the likes. It's a much better story economically 6 months down the road. But the great one is, of course, what's going to happen to China. And we think China, by the second half of the year, will be rebounding quite nicely, and that'll pull Sweden, that'll pull Germany, and that'll help Europe in general.
Sebastian, you do what I have not done. You've written a brilliant note on Madame Lagarde. I've been remiss, folks, in driving forward her important speech. I think it's December 11 or 13. I can't remember which date, Paul, but it's right there, right around our Fed meeting as well. Sebastian Galli, how is Christine Lagarde doing as she cuts the curtains and fixes the decorating at Frankfurt at the ECB?
Well, she's quite a lady, and thankfully it's a lady for once. And what you have is essentially somebody who's saying the entire debate is open on what the inflation target is and what the ECB is going to do, but she's put some markers. One of the markers that she's put is that the ECB can't do everything. A second marker that she's put is that she wants a green angle, that the economies need to reform so that Europe becomes neutral in terms of carbon emission down the road. And others, not her, have pointed out to the fact that they could do more credit easing, so buying more bank debt, for example, than government debt eventually. And mostly she's been trying to shape basically the discourse, but the decision is going to take a few weeks and months.
So it's interesting, Sebastian, that Christine Lagarde, will she have any greater success than Mario Draghi and other central bankers in arguing for and actually getting some fiscal stimulus from some of the European leaders? I'm thinking Germany.
No, she's going to have absolutely no luck whatsoever. So in the base case scenario, you might get 1% expansion from a fiscal side, which is about 40 billion euros within Germany, and so not that much. The Germans don't think it's a fiscal issue. It's a temporary shock coming from the auto sector, so something that the auto sector has to manage by itself. It's a shock coming also from emerging markets. And if you look at internal demand within Germany, it's actually pretty solid, pretty good. European growth in general, at least internally in terms of consumption, is decent. France is doing quite well. The periphery is expected to do quite well, and so nobody sees a strong incentive to spend more money. The Germans could do it. They have 60% debt to GDP ratio. They can afford it. The French far less so. And net, the ECB might push one way, but the rest of the governments won't. What will happen is that level the investments, and I was sitting at the European Investment Bank yesterday, and there's a huge debate on how to make investments better, how to take small companies and make them grow. In America, people are very successful at it. In Europe, they're not so successful. There are not many Googles in Euroland, and what they want to try to do is basically grow that pot in a much more intelligent fashion and much more efficient fashion, and try to imitate the Americans, particularly, for example, the DARPA, which is an American administration whose job is to take ideas in the military and bring them to production and to success. Hence, and it's very successful, and they're copying it in Germany already. The French want to do exactly the same. So there's a lot of looking what the U.S. has done and try to apply it to Europe.
Is there a common sense about why Europe has not been able to grow its small and mid-sized businesses better to support the economy?
One of the reasons is Europe is not like the U.S. There's much more diversity of regulation, and it's more difficult for a company basically to scale up from France, go to Germany, go to Latvia and the likes, and basically expand all around the Eurozone and the European Union. So it's more difficult. One of it is also because we lack what Americans have, which is people willing to take a lot of risk, and that you need to take these people like Musk. I do apologize for mispronouncing his name, but risk takers are very few and far in between, both as risk takers in terms of mounting or creating a company, and as investors within these companies. So you need to create a culture, which is quite a significant change from a European point of view.
Fascinating. Sebastian Gelli, thank you so much, with Nordea out of Luxembourg. Always just brilliant notes. And again, we protect the copyright of all of our guests. You can get Mr. Gelli's good writings through Nordea as well. That was great, Paul. And this really came up earlier with Ursula von der Heiden in Strasbourg with our Maria Tadeo, an important conversation coming up on how does Europe make a Google? I'm saying that just simply. How do they, name the company? How do they make a Disney?
Yeah.
And Sebastian, with all of his cultural authenticity there, nailed it.
Yes.
It's like a big, we're like, yeah, cocktail talk. It's a huge existential thing.
And they're having, it's interesting because you talk about fiscal stimulus, and I think, as Sebastian noted, people are pushing back on that and saying, listen, let's let the private market grow this economy across the European zone. That's what we need. It's not lower interest rates. We're already negative interest rates. We've already got, countries like Germany saying, no, we are not going to step up our fiscal stimulus. We value the balanced budget. It has to come from the private sector. And that's a relatively new discussion coming out of Europe.
I think it's hugely new. And this really goes to, I'm going to say it, and I'll get some mail from Europe and other geographies, but American exceptionalism.
Yeah.
I mean, where else can you do what we've done? You look at some of these stocks this year, the extraordinary turnaround. I mean, you talk about innovation. The Detroit Lions have won 3 games this year.
That's innovation.
That's a step up. How about the Buffalo Bills? They're killing it.
Actually,
they're like the real deal.
I'm surprised, and thank goodness. I mean, listen.
Bills Cowboys Thursday.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a real football
That's going to be a real game. Yeah.
That is going to be.
Yeah.
Hopefully it won't be raining like it was in Boston this weekend.
But like you said earlier, the 49ers and the Ravens, that game, I am waiting for that.
I mean, it's like pre-Super Bowl.
And we're not going to get that game in New York. Did you know that?
No, I missed that.
Because we've got the Jets and the Giants both at 1 o'clock or so.
Wait, no way.
Can't wait for that.
Yes. Really?
Yes. Yeah. So the New York market, from what I'm hearing, I heard on ESPN recently that it's not going to be in the New York market, the number 1 market in the country.
Ravens, 49ers, I can't watch?
Why can't they flex that out?
I don't know. It's all this media stuff. I don't understand.
I don't know. I'm looking at an email just came in. Mohammed from Cambridge says, of course we're going to watch the Jets. Futures up 4, Dow futures up 3. This is Bloomberg.
Let's get national headlines right now with Michael Barr. Michael.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Tom. The House Judiciary Committee is planning an impeachment hearing for next week. Judiciary lawmakers are set to meet December 4th to hear from legal experts examining the constitutional grounds for President Donald Trump's impeachment. Trump insists he has done nothing wrong. The Thanksgiving travel rush is on, and forecasters say a major winter storm is causing flight cancellations and hazardous road conditions. In Houston, for example, more flights could be canceled as the day progresses. As much as a foot of snow is forecast in parts of the upper Midwest. Wyoming and Colorado are feeling the effects of the storm. Hundreds of flights were canceled in Denver. The Albanian Defense Ministry says the death toll from Tuesday's earthquake has now reached 26. Global news 24 hours a day on air and at TikTok on Twitter. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg Time.
Michael Barr, thanks so much. Douglas Cass down in Florida, just out on what I've been talking about. Gamma, the acceleration up, has extreme gamma stoked the relentless market climb. At for Mr. Cass. Stay with us worldwide. This is Bloomberg Surveillance.
Rich is just a really good guy. The term good egg isn't enough to describe him. He's also certified organic and free range. Rich puts the cap back on everything. The toothpaste, the olive oil, the shampoo, everything. He lets his 10-year-old nephew beat him at virtual tennis, even though he can straight up slay his 10-year-old nephew in virtual tennis. When the toilet paper is running low, Rich replaces the roll on the actual holder, not just on the back of the toilet. Rich is texting and driving. Rich, no. What are you doing, Rich? I was just telling everyone how great you are. Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Asset managers who seize change to launch new strategies, add distribution channels, or exploit new technology to re-engineer the investor experience are often rewarded. However, in an industry paralyzed with complexity, few act with agility or decisively. Few run their business strategically. Yet, the most competitive managers in the market know with the right partner and a flexible operating platform, you can. Go boldly toward change with SEI Investment Manager Services.
I'm Steve Meyer, president of SEI's Investment Manager Services. At SEI, we understand the emerging forces that will define success for asset managers and what firms will need to compete tomorrow. That's why we continually optimize SEI's global operating platform. If your business requires greater agility, our advanced technology, integrated best-in-class systems, and multi-asset expertise can be your catalyst for business transformation.
With SEI Investment Manager Services, you lead the charge in a competitive marketplace. Learn more at SEIC.com/seizechange.
'Tis the season to be hunched over your laptop. Not on our watch. In real life, you can feel your senses and your baskets. Feel all the sights, sounds, lols, and OMGs. Wear laughing emojis on actual smiley faces. Battery is running low. Take the kids to Santa's Grotto. In real life, you can find just the right present using the most advanced search engine in the world. Your eyes. We can't in real life. Brent Cross, London. Free parking for all sleighs and cars. Next. Nah. Nope. Boring. If you skip through loads of your TV channels, why are you paying loads of money for them? With TalkTalk TV and Faster Fibre, you can access the nation's favourite TV shows, a world of films and sport, live and on demand, all for £25.95 a month for 18 months. And if you're quick, you'll even get a year of Amazon Prime on us. Search TalkTalk TV. TalkTalk. For everyone. Offerings 5th of December, subject to availability. T's and C's apply.
So if your party wins, can we expect a healthier NHS? Even with an ageing population? But what about privatisation?
With all the parties promising more NHS funding, how will they pay for it? From the NHS to taxation, The Times and the Sunday Times will guide you through. Pick up your copy today or visit thetimes.co.uk.
For the independent bookseller who found you that first edition. For the baker who brings the smell of freshly baked bread to your door.
And for the barista who never needs to ask your name.
We've all got a part to play.
Every little tap
keeps your high street alive.
And helps your communities thrive.
So if you love where you live, shop small.
Shopping on your local high street can make a big difference. Shop small. Only by American Express.
From Bloomberg Television, here's Taylor Riggs.
5 years ago, Alibaba pulled off its biggest ever IPO on Wall Street, and today it rang up the biggest share sale in Hong Kong in 10 years. The listing is being seen as a triumph for a stock exchange that over the years lost many of China's brightest technology stars to U.S. rivals. Joining us from Washington to discuss it is John Freeman, Vice President of Equity Research at CFRA. John, as you take a look at the company raising an additional $11 billion, where do you see that company in terms of their use of cash?
It'll be very interesting to see what they do with the extra cash, because I think that brings them to I want to say $43 billion in total and about 21 in net cash. You know, if you subtract out the debt. Here's what I'd like to see them do. I would like to see them invest more heavily into the cloud business, which is honestly, I think it's 8% of revenue now. It was growing 64% year-over-year growth in the last quarter. We've seen this movie before, how this cloud business scales with Amazon. With Amazon, it's 12% of revenue, but it's 70% of profit. So I think, as it crosses the, break-even point soon, and, they can offer additional services, I think that would be a good way to spend the money.
Hear more interviews like this one on Bloomberg Television, streaming live on Bloomberg.com and on the Bloomberg mobile app, or check your local cable listings. Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And I'm John Tucker in the Bloomberg Newsroom with this Bloomberg Business Flash, where it is 8:17. We're being brought to you by PIMCO for investors who demand more than the markets deliver. All investments contain risk and may lose value. Consult your investment professional before investing. Well, let's go over to the Bloomberg First Word Breaking News Desk for today's morning call. And good morning, Bill Maloney.
And good morning, John. U.S. futures remain quiet, with Dow futures currently up 4 points. S&P is also higher by 4, and NASDAQ futures climb by 17. The U.S. 10-year yield at 1.75%. Gold is down 4, while European markets are trading mixed right now. Back in the U.S., a busy day on the economic front. At 8:30, GDP, core PCE, initial jobs claims, and durable goods orders. At 9:45, Chicago PMI, and at 10 o'clock, personal income, spending, PC deflator, and pending home sales. After the bell last night, VMware third quarter revenue beat the highest estimates, and Dell cut its 2020 sales forecast. Regarding earnings this morning, Deere outlook missed estimates, shares are down 5% in the pre-market. And in other news, Elon Musk said that Tesla's Cybertruck orders have jumped to 250,000, and Deutsche Bank sold a $50 billion book of assets to Goldman Sachs. Wrapping things up, Dick's Sporting was raised to overweight at Barclays, and Dollar Tree cut to neutral over at J.P. Morgan. Live from the First Breaking News Desk, I'm Bill Maloney. John?
All right, Bill, thanks a lot. And to hear live breaking news over your Bloomberg, type squawk on your terminal. Dow again, futures up 3 points, S&P futures up 4 points higher. And again, the NASDAQ E-mini futures 17 points higher. We check the markets every 15 minutes throughout the trading day right here on Bloomberg Radio, and that is your Bloomberg Business Flash. Paul and Tom.
Yeah, thanks so much, John Tucker. So what we're going to do, Dan Ives is styling so much this morning.
Yeah,
he's got the casual Wednesday before Thanksgiving thing going on.
Eve.
Let's just go to the two stocks that Mr. Ives is so good on at Wedbush Securities, and it's Apple moonshot. Ugh. And Amazon, not a moonshot, but totally dominant within our lives, Paul.
Well, Tom,
started off in the winter.
I've got my 10-year chart up here. I don't know why we put ourselves through all this misery looking at economics and finance and all this kind of stuff. We should just own Apple and Amazon. Over the last 10 years, S&P up 13% annually. Apple, double that, 26%. Amazon, a little bit better, close to 30% compounded annual return. Dan Ives, Wedbush Securities. Do I just own a small handful of these FANGs and just go to the beach for 2020?
Look, in my opinion, I think FANGs are you're going to see these names up 20-25%, potentially going 2020. Especially when you look at Apple, we are going to a 5G super cycle. 900 million iPhones right now worldwide. Only about a third of those, I think, is really the opportunity. So you can see 350 to 400 million iPhones right now in a window of an upgrade. I look at Apple, Amazon, those continue to be table pounders.
So for Apple, the 5G is really, really interesting to me because I hear about it from, the equipment side, the CapEx side, from all the big tech companies, and then, of course, in the handset side, as you were talking about. So just frame it around for us, this feels like it could be one of those generational upgrades in the phone market for Apple and others.
I view it as a transformational upgrade opportunity. And for Apple in particular, many ask from an investor perspective, 5G plays. And you could look at some tangential ones. In my opinion, the best 5G play is Apple. And I think you're seeing a renaissance of growth. Because right now, when you think about 5G going to 2020, 2021, you have 900 million iPhones right now worldwide. I believe about a third to potentially a little more than that are going to be an upgrade opportunity as more upgrade to 5G, and that we'll call it the highway of growth. Apple, in my opinion, that's why I view it as a $325, $350 stock, despite some of the, call it, headwinds from U.S.-China.
I mean, it's a crisis, Paul. $59 billion in free cash flow. In 24 months, they're going to only be up $9 additional billion to $67 billion modeled.
I don't know. All right,
it's a crisis.
Dan, what do they do with the cash? I have been arguing for years that they should go buy content, a media company, Disney, Netflix, something like that. They've thankfully ignored me.
John Deere.
Exactly. What do you think they do with the cash?
I mean, look, they're going to continue to have that capital allocation, the buybacks, as well as, in terms of shareholder perspective. But I do think going in 2020, you'll start to see some more M&A, specifically in content, 5G, and AI.
Okay, so let's switch to Amazon because everybody's got 4,000 cardboard boxes in front of their door. I'm going to say it's an off year because of worries about doing and executing one-day shipping and all that. For you, is it the mother of all opportunities within Mr. Bezos' so-called off year?
It's the Super Bowl. I mean, for Bezos and Amazon, I think when you look at it, and the street continues to be conservative, how they've modeled
I saw one sell side the other day that was like, the street's just wrong. It's going to be south.
I mean, I view this as really an SBS sandbag special in terms of what ultimately
translate
that. So I view that numbers are conservative, street numbers are conservative relative to what the company is going to do, and once they do that, I think you'll see the stock re-rate higher.
I mean, Doug Cass, I just mentioned him with his wonderful essay here on Gamma and all the excitement of a melt-up on a melt-up, etc. But on Amazon, what's your timeline where there's proof or indication that they will succeed at one-day shipping?
Look, I think when you look at Amazon, I think obviously the logistics piece, the last mile, that continues to be there. And I think that's something that's now starting to get in the sight versus binoculars. But I continue to think a big part of Amazon and the re-rating, it's not the retail, it's the cloud piece. When you look at AWS.
Oh, really?
That, to me, when you look at what's really going to be the growth driver in the 2020, from a stock perspective, it's the cloud piece. 30% of workloads are in the cloud today. Microsoft and Nadella continues to have that golden touch, but I view it for Amazon, that's an incremental $200 to $300 per share.
Okay, what's the thing you want in the Apple Store? You mean they're all going to be packed this holiday season as people begin their holiday shopping? Everybody needs the marginal Apple thing. What's the thing? I know what I'm waiting for.
Yeah, I think they hit it out of the park with the latest AirPods in terms of AirPods 3.
They're everywhere.
And I think that, look, they're going to sell, call it in 2020, 75, 80 million units of AirPods. And
Have you tried them?
Yeah. So
do they sound better?
So I could tell you right now, the AirPods 3, and I'm one that that for me, that's an upgrade in terms of AirPods 3. So that's what I'm going to be looking at going to the Apple Store.
Noise canceling, Tom.
The noise canceling, especially.
Pharaoh's, that's what he wants.
That's why he puts them in. He's not listening to you.
He's not listening to me.
He seems like he's listening.
No,
but
he's faking it.
He's faking it.
He's faking. He's got the AirPods in while we're live on air. He's just like, go away. Dan, thank you. Really interesting on Apple, on Amazon. Mr. Ives, he's with Wedbush.
He's working on Thanksgiving.
What is this, more Pharaoh music? Can we play something American? It's a Wednesday before Thanksgiving. This is Bloomberg.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Dell is lowering its annual revenue forecast for the second time in the past 3 months after component shortages from supplier Intel hit growth prospects. Dell's latest quarterly profit beat estimates, and revenue in the PC division rose almost 5% thanks to commercial sales, but revenue from consumers was lower. Facebook is acquiring the studio behind Beat Saber, a popular virtual reality game that mixes music, lightsabers, and dancing into one experience. The price here was not disclosed. Beat Games will join Facebook's Oculus gaming studio and operate independently from its Prague base. Christmas tree buyers can expect to pay more than they did last year when prices were already at a record high. The National Christmas Tree Association says supplies are tight and demand is rising. Last year, fresh trees cost $78 on average. Dow futures are up 3 points. Crude oil at $58.42 a barrel. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
Elite advisory firms rely on BNY Mellon's Pershing to meet the needs of their most complex clients. Karen Novak, Chief Operating Officer at Pershing Advisor Solutions, explains how.
At BNY Mellon's Pershing, we bring customized insights and strategies to help you grow your advisory business and stay on the leading edge. We can support the needs of your most sophisticated clients with a full range of investment and wealth management solutions, from access to private banking to consolidated bank and brokerage custody. Learn why so many of the largest advisory firms turn to us for the financial strength and high-touch service that BNY Mellon's Pershing can provide. Are you well positioned to stand out from your competition?
Learn more at Pershing.com or call 800-445-4467. Brokerage custody provided by Pershing LLC and other services provided by Pershing Advisor Solutions LLC. Both members of FINRA and SIPC. Private banking and bank custody provided by BNY Mellon NA. Member FDIC.
Have you wanted to... 'Tis the season to be hunched over your laptop. Not on our watch. In real life, you can fill your senses and your baskets. Feel all the sights, sounds, lols, and OMGs. Wear laughing emojis on actual smiley faces. Battery is running low. Take the kids to Santa's Grotto. In real life, you can find just the right present using the most advanced search engine in the world. Your eyes. We hunt in real life. Brent Cross, London. Free parking for all sleighs and cars.
So if your party wins, can we expect a healthier NHS? Even with an ageing population? But what about privatisation?
With all the parties promising more NHS funding, how will they pay for it? From the NHS to taxation, the Times and the Sunday Times will guide you through. Pick up your copy today or visit thetimes.co.uk.
For the independent bookseller who found you that first edition. For the baker who brings the smell of freshly baked bread to your door.
And for the barista who never needs to ask your name.
We've all got a part to play.
Every little tap keeps your high street alive.
And helps your communities thrive.
So if you love where you live, shop small.
Shopping on your local high street can make a big difference. Shop small. Only by American Express.
On 3, our unlimited data is actually unlimited, like 4 reels. That means you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the Black Friday deals.
Because we have no speed limits, no data caps, and you'll be 5G ready at no extra cost.
Wow, so many savings.
Our Black Friday deals are now on. Save up to £480. Switch to 3, in-store or online. See 3.co.uk/unlimited-data. Savings on selected phones on 24-month contracts. Ends 5th of December. Terms apply.
At TUI, we can help you find the perfect getaway for two. We fly to over 70 destinations worldwide, so wherever you have in mind, we'll help you get there. This Black Friday, you can save up to £150 per booking, and you'll automatically get the chance to win the cost of your holiday back. Book online or in-store with one of our travel experts. At TUI, we cross the T's, dot the I's, and put you in the middle. Offer available on selected holidays for a limited time and subject to availability. Booking T's and C's apply. At or protected.
Like all good tradespeople, Ford likes an early start too. That's why our Black Friday has already begun. Enjoy amazing savings across our hard-working range of new commercial vehicles. Save between £2,500 and £9,650 off the recommended retail price. Why wait until the 29th of November, when you can have that Black Friday feeling today? Plus, there's 0% APR representative on Ford Acquire. Search Ford Black Friday. Ford, backbone of Britain.
Exclusions apply. Combined promotions available till 30th November 2019 at participating dealers. For Ford Acquire, finance subject to status and deposit restrictions apply. Free post Ford credit.
Broadcasting live from the Bloomberg Interactive Brokers Studio in New York. Bloomberg 1130 to Washington, D.C. Bloomberg 99.1 to Boston. Bloomberg 1061 to San Francisco. Bloomberg 960 to the country. Sirius XM Channel 119 and around the globe. The Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Bloomberg Surveillance.
Good morning, everyone. Paul Sweeney and Tom Keene. Lisa Abramowitz off. Jen Farrow off. Paul Sweeney in. I never leave, so I guess I'm in too. It's economic data. We'll get to it with some GDP numbers that are constructive here in a moment. We see yields move higher, up 2 basis points, 1.76%. Always at 8:30, our economic indicators brought to you by Commonwealth Financial Network. For the 6th straight time, J.D. Power ranks Commonwealth #1 in independent advisor satisfaction among financial investment firms. Visit Commonwealth.com to learn more. And we thank Commonwealth Financial Network for their support here. All through the year, we give thanks for what they do. Paul, well, we got to go to Vinny right now. Vinny, why don't we go to you to go through the plethora of data?
Okay, Tom, yes, a long list of data. Let's start with revised figures on GDP third quarter. Back above 2%, up 2.1%. It had been 1.9%. What happened? Demand for business equipment picking up, consumer spending unchanged. Jobless claims, they're back down again after a couple of elevated weeks. 213,000, once again closer to a half-century low. Factory orders for durable goods up 0.6%. Economists had anticipated a decline. When you look at the numbers on business equipment, you also see some strength. Still ahead, 10 a.m. Wall Street time, consumer spending. Also, we have figures on pending home sales. And at noon, the Federal Reserve's Regional Economic Survey, the Beige Book. So a busy day, a lot of numbers crammed in ahead of Thanksgiving. I'm Vinny Delchudas. Gentlemen, back to you.
Vinny, thanks so much. Some real upbeat there. I know Mr. Kudlow will be talking that up today for President Trump. 2.1% is, excuse me, I got to get that right. Yes, 2.1% off of the 1.9% previous look on GDP. Andrew Hollinhurst here to distill it. Andrew, the zeitgeist is, okay, maybe it's a bottom and up. And, of course, Chairman Powell talking about a glass more than half full. Is that what you see?
You know, it's looked a lot like a glass exactly half full, and we're starting to get some of this hard data in that's looking a little bit more positive. So we've seen some positive signs on the soft data, and I would say data out this morning, you're seeing better investment in GDP, you're seeing better signs of future investment in durables, and that's really where you want to see the strength in an area that's been weak for quite some time.
With that tone, do yields as a general framework stay lower, or is the huge surprise of Q1 2020 up we go finally in yields?
That would be the huge surprise. I think that's what no one is expecting. Yeah. And I think, you know, if you were listening to Governor Brainerd yesterday, for instance.
What'd she say? I missed that.
She was talking about the potential to move to an average inflation targeting regime. So this is still a Fed that, even if they see strong activity, you need to see something on the inflation front to get them thinking about hikes. So I think that's where we have this scenario where data is looking a little bit better, equities are moving higher, but rates are staying fairly low.
So, Andrew, looking at the data that came out this morning, you know, U.S. business equipment demand increases by the most since January. You know, and that's kind of counter to the narrative that we've been having, you know, contracting manufacturing, weak business investment. Is this the beginning of a turn, do you think, or is this not so much of a trend at this point?
It's probably too early to call it a trend. I mean, we're really looking at 1 month of data. Like I was saying, you do have some of these leading indicators. Globally, PMIs for manufacturing are turning up. Now, they're still at low levels, but they look like they're coming off of a bottom. So that's what we're hoping for. That's what we think we're going to see. And the other thing that's going on in the U.S. is you had this auto worker strike, which was a drag, and probably even a drag in these numbers. It still looked pretty positive. That's going to bounce back. We know that we had aircraft production that was was shut down. That's going to bounce back also. So you have a couple idiosyncratic factors in there also that coming into the first half of 2020, these numbers could look a little more positive. So I think that's what's going to happen. Do I see it in the data yet? I'm not sure that we're seeing it that clearly in the data
Andrew,
yet.
wonderful to see Chairman Greenspan on, I think, with Maria yesterday. And, I look at Chairman Greenspan, and his economic mandate is a good stock market builds confidence. Is that still true, or is the stock market the province of only the elite?
Well, it is true that the gains from the stock market are not that broadly shared across the economy. This really is high-income, high-wealth individuals that have exposure to the stock market. But when we look at those consumer sentiment measures, and even when you break those consumer sentiment measures down across income groups, across demographics, you still see this pass-through from higher equity prices to what's going on more broadly with consumer sentiment. So those two things are linked. Whether fundamentally or not, they should be. They do seem to be quite linked empirically. And so as we see equities moving higher, we think that should be positive for consumer sentiment. Surprising then that, Conference Board consumer sentiment has actually stayed a little bit lower here. So we're watching that to see if that bounces. But in general, that should be a positive backdrop for the economy coming into 2020.
Andrew Hollenhorst, thank you so much. Too short a visit. He is with Citigroup, working with Catherine Mann on a view on the American economy as well. Paul, there's a lot of things we can analyze on a Wednesday. And of course, we have to say that Michael Bloomberg is the founder of Bloomberg LP and, of course, of Bloomberg News. I'm watching CNN, and I think we can come to a political conclusion here that it's 100% certain that Mayor Bloomberg can dance better than Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders.
I'm watching Bernie Sanders dance, and it's just not happening.
It's just not happening. Hopefully, we won't have any of that at the debate coming up going forward. I don't think we need to see any of that.
So that's our political coverage.
Exactly. That's about all we do.
We do more than that. The Quinnipiac poll was actually very interesting, but a light moment here on a Wednesday. It is a Wednesday. We've got Rob Carolyn scheduled to be with us in the 9 hour on the weather across this nation. I think it's 30 gajillion people traveling. Paul,
why? Just stay home.
Well, no. Home. Some people got to. I've been
in that
boat. You got to go.
You got to go. It's family time. Time for
New
family.
York to Washington.
Oh boy.
Is just brutal.
That is.
And we say good morning to all of you, coast to coast, and good morning to all of Bloomberg Radio for all we do with our different stations nationwide on business messages. This is Bloomberg Radio.
Let's get national headlines right now with Michael Barr. Michael.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you, Tom. President Trump answered questions about the congressional impeachment inquiry. During an interview with Bill O'Reilly, the president defended his personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, while saying he did not ask Giuliani to do work in Ukraine.
Rudy is a great corruption fighter. He's one of the greatest in the last 50 years. He was the greatest mayor in the history of the city of New York, by far.
Up next in the impeachment inquiry, the House Judiciary Committee will hold a hearing next Wednesday looking at possible high crime and misdemeanors. An explosion rocked a plant in Texas early today, blowing out windows at nearby homes and sending plumes of orange flames into the sky. The explosion was at the TPC plant that makes products for chemical and petroleum companies. President Trump says the U.S. government intends to designate Mexican drug cartels as terrorist groups in the near future. He declined to say whether he was considering taking military action like drone strikes against the groups. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg, Tom.
Michael Barr, thanks so much. Time now for the Bloomberg NBC Sports Report. Here's Rob Bushka.
Good morning, Tom. On the ice, New Jersey with a chance to right the ship against Minnesota. They saw it slip through their fingers late, taken down by the Wild across the river 3-2. Kyle Palmieri notched his 9th goal that came on a power play assisted by Taylor Hall. But the Devils now fall to 8-11-4. Winger Miles Wood on what went wrong in the third.
Very unfortunate on our part with that goal. It went off the Taze's stick there, but I thought we fought well. We had some chances late. Wayne's line was going tonight, and they played well in the third period. They gave us a chance, and unfortunately, it didn't come through.
New Jersey will play in the lone Thanksgiving Day game when they skate Thursday night in Montreal. Big early season test for the Knicks tonight. They visit the world champion Toronto Raptors. Knicks coach David Fizdale on R.J. Barrett's availability for tonight.
They got knee in the thigh. Him and Frank both got pretty good knees to the thigh, but they're saying right now questionable. But so hopefully we'll get a better diagnosis tomorrow as we can use it.
Is Kevin traveling, or is he going to stay?
No, he's traveling. He's traveling, so we'll see how he feels once he's up there. I don't think he wants to miss this one.
We're talking about RJ or Kevin?
RJ. Yeah, I don't think he wants to miss this one.
A win could turn the season around as New York is tied with Atlanta in the Eastern Conference cellar at 4-13. Tip-off is at 7:30. Nets, they tip off in Boston at 7. Kemba Walker expected to play for the Celtics after suffering a neck strain last weekend. College basketball, a stunner. Number 1 Duke upset at home. They were a 28-point favorite. They lost on an overtime buzzer beater to Stephen F. Austin. That's your NBC Bloomberg Sports Update. Tom?
Rob Bushka, let's stay on that theme right now. I mean, the basketball season starts. Is it like the NBA as well? And that there's almost 2 seasons to college basketball. There's like the beginning, and then there's gets serious.
Yeah, I think, and even for the ACC, it's the beginning, then it's the ACC, part of the season, and then it's obviously the month of March, and that's where, the Dukes, the Michigan States, and the Kentuckys. That's obviously where they focus.
Are they all new at Duke this year?
Basically, yeah. Just reload and freshmen. They do freshman things.
Did you guys medicate Paul? Is that what this is? This is Bloomberg. This is Bruce. Happy Thanksgiving. Just as you turn away, I saw you last night.
Why has J.D. Power ranked Commonwealth Financial Network #1 in independent advisor satisfaction among financial investment firms for the 6th straight time? We think it comes down to one thing: you. Because it's your input and feedback that keeps us focused on what's most important to you and your clients, and continually pushes us to be the best we can be. Maybe that's why we receive top marks in every category of the J.D. Power 2019 Advisor Satisfaction Survey. They named us #1 in client support, #1 in firm leadership, #1 in operational support, #1 in compensation, #1 in professional development support, and #1 in technology support. Ready to partner with the best? Call Commonwealth at 866-462-3638 or visit commonwealth.com and feel the power. Member FINRA/SIPC, a registered investment advisor. For 2019 J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com/award.
Startups and research universities like New Jersey Institute of Technology are fueling the innovation economy. And few people are better positioned to see what's on the horizon in New Jersey than physicist and state representative Andrew Zwicker.
How technology is transforming our financial sector is revolutionary, and so much of that is in New Jersey. We are innovators when it comes to agriculture, and there is opportunity now for great transformation in how are we going to grow food in an ever-growing population, and how do we turn urban centers into agricultural centers. Autonomous vehicles is another one where we have some of the world's leading experts, and how this will transform how those who are either elderly or are visually impaired or mobilely impaired can start to use autonomous vehicles to transform their lives and have access to transportation they could have never had before.
NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology. Learn more at njit.edu/research.
There is simply nothing else like it. Giraffe strut, bird swoop, gazelles leap. And as the music soars, the entire Serengeti comes to life around you. This is Disney's The Lion King. Experience it at London's Lyceum Theatre. Visit thelionking.co.uk.
On 3, our unlimited data is actually unlimited, like for reals. That means you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the Black Friday deals.
Because we have no speed limits, no data caps, and you'll be 5G ready at no extra cost.
Wow, so many savings.
Our Black Friday deals are now on. Save up to £480. Switch to 3, in-store or online. See 3.co.uk/unlimited-data. Savings on selected phones on 24-month contracts. Ends 5th of December. Terms apply.
Keys? Check. Lunchbox? Check. 8-year-old ready to go? Check. There's one more thing you should check before you leave. Your travel. There's a new segregated section of Cycleway 4 under construction on the A200 Creek Road around the junction with Deptford Church Street. so expect delays due to lane closures. Plan ahead and check alternative routes at tfl.gov.uk. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
Like all good tradespeople, Ford likes an early start too. That's why our Black Friday has already begun. Enjoy amazing savings across our hard-working range of new commercial vehicles. Save between £2,500 and £9,650 off the recommended retail price. Why wait until the 29th of November, when you can have that Black Friday feeling today? Plus, there's 0% APR representative on Ford Acquire. Search Ford Black Friday. Ford, backbone of Britain.
Exclusions apply. Combined promotions available till 30th of November 2019 at participating dealers. For Ford Acquire, finance subject to status and deposit restrictions apply. Free post Ford credit.
Work of news and financial information 24 hours a day. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. This is Bloomberg Radio. Now, a global news update.
A storm with heavy snow and high winds that whip through Colorado, Wyoming, and Nebraska is marching into the upper Midwest. It's not expected to stop snowing in Salt Lake City, Utah until Saturday. Travelers also face winter weather in California and Oregon.
The hustle and bustle of Thanksgiving travel. Millions of Americans will take to the roads and the skies to get to their Turkey Day destination. Severe storms could snarl last-minute travel plans. Snow and rain is forecast throughout the Midwest and Northeast regions of the U.S.
Correspondent Daryl Forges. A New York Times report suggests President Trump was briefed in late August on the existence of a whistleblower complaint about his phone call with the president of Ukraine in July. Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut says the report strengthens the case for impeachment.
It adds additional evidence. It empowers further the case against the president.
I'm John Trout.
The world's top business and political leaders prefer to speak to someone who understands them.
We're looking right now at the White House.
Balance of Power with David Weston. Weekdays at noon Eastern on Bloomberg Radio. Bloomberg, the world is listening. Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And it is now 8:47 on Wall Street. Good morning, I'm John Tucker in the newsroom with this Bloomberg Business Flash. As we look at futures right now, barely moving right now. The Dow futures up 4 points, and the S&P futures 4 points higher. The Nasdaq E-mini futures up 18 points. And we have demand for U.S. business equipment. That unexpectedly increased in October, the most since the start of the year. It's a respite from the capital spending downturn that weighed on the third quarter economic growth. One of the pieces of the economic data that we got this morning. Now, equities overseas climbing across Asia, except in China. That's where we earlier had data that showed the economy slowing further as investors continue to monitor developments on the trade front. President Trump declared Tuesday that talks on the first phase of the deal were nearly done after negotiators from both sides spoke by telephone. And farm equipment maker Deere & Company falling in the pre-market after income guidance missed estimates. We check the markets for you every 15 minutes during the trading day right here on Bloomberg Radio. I'm John Tucker. It's 8:48 on Wall Street.
The following commentary is from Bloomberg Opinion.
A $56 billion Thanksgiving deal feast. I'm Tara LaChapelle, a columnist for Bloomberg Opinion. It's the time of year to give thanks, especially if you're an M&A banker. Thanksgiving week in the U.S. kicked off with 4 large transactions totaling $56 billion. They include the merger of online brokerages Charles Schwab and TD Ameritrade and Tiffany's sale to luxury house LVMH. There have been about $2.7 trillion of M&A deals globally so far this year, as a merger wave now long in the tooth continues into 2020. Deal-making in the U.S. had been expected to slow down this year in the face of a trade war with China, political turmoil, and a series of high-profile merger-related write-downs. And so the M&A market's tenacity is pretty stunning. Billions of dollars of banker fees have also been generated in the process. The feast will end sooner or later, but for now, the oven's still hot. The question remains, though, later on, will investors feel they got burned? I'm Tara LaChapelle. For more Bloomberg Opinion, please go to Bloomberg.com/opinion or OPIN Go on the Bloomberg terminal.
This has been Bloomberg Opinion.
Yeah, Bloomberg Opinion commentaries can be heard every weekday at this time. Terminal customers, you can read more at OPI and Go. It is now 8:49. Tom and Paul.
John, thanks so much. Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and it's wonderful to have in here Michael McKee. His agreement, like page 42, he only shows up if the Bruins score 8 goals.
Sure.
Top of the league. I mean, the Bruins are, they're like killing it.
It was free pizza or something.
No, they're killing it. I mean, they get the puck in it. It's almost in the net or in the net. Have you ever seen them so offensive?
Yes, but we're too old. You remember 1972, Phil Esposito?
Yeah, with a wrist shot from the slot.
Yeah, I mean those were the years. The same sort of
magic. Okay,
there's our Esposito, Hodge, and Cashman.
The chairman. We may know this. The chairman of the Federal Reserve grew up with silver, and the whole thing fancy. And I'm sure he's going to have the Chateau Lafite Rothschild 2016 at $870 a bottle for Thanksgiving. His glass is much more than half full.
Well, you look at
that.
Yeah, the data today were very good.
That's why you're sitting here. The
making
data was
his
killer.
case, some of it you have to look past. We don't really care about the third quarter GDP revision. A little better, but it was based on inventories. That's not a good way to boost GDP. But the spending data, which we're going to get at 10 o'clock, will tell a real story. The initial read on durable goods, very good.
Yeah.
Non-defense capital goods ex-aircraft, which is basically the proxy for business spending, was supposed to contract.
And surveillance would call that non-defense spending ex-Gulfstream.
That went up. So businesses spent at least orders in the highest level since January. And that suggests that we go into the quarter with a lot more strength than people thought, and that should adjust some of those GDP trackers. The other number out at 8:30, jobless claims, it's a holiday week, so it's kind of hard to...
Oh, but come on, it's a stunning number. It's the most optimistic statistic in America.
Which one?
Claims.
Well, claims, sure.
After month after month.
But skip the level and look at the movement. We broke out of a range that we'd been in since June, the prior 2 weeks, and so people were saying, could that be a canary in the coal mine? Right now, it looks like maybe not, but we got to wait till we get through the holiday week distortions.
So you mentioned the business equipment demand jumps by the most since January. Does that suggest that maybe this whole concern about the trade and what it means for the corporate America and then their spending, is that kind of receding into kind of the background a little bit?
For 4 days while everybody goes over the river and through the woods, maybe. It comes back again. We'll see. Durable goods orders are notoriously volatile.
Okay.
And so you'd want several months to confirm that companies were coming back. Now, we're getting towards the end of the year, and if you want to take a tax break or if you need some sort of offset, then, maybe you want to invest some. In the GDP numbers, structures in the
Stop worrying about the Bruins and focus.
Focus. I'm thinking about the game on Friday against the Rangers. In the business investment category, structures were up. We're not down as much, put it that way. And you wonder, that is probably the oil patch not being as bad as people thought. And so maybe there is something going on there. Unfortunately, Alex Steele is taking a day off today.
So our expert.
We can't ask our oil expert, but until you get more of a breakdown on who's spending and what,
What's the makeup of the consumer right now? Do we really not know because technology has so overtaken us and that, the traditional department store measurements and all that of holiday shopping, that stuff just doesn't work anymore?
It doesn't work. It's hard to say it ever worked, but it doesn't work anymore. Black Friday and Cyber Monday, silly concept, don't tell you anything about.
They don't tell you really anything.
No, don't tell you anything about what's going to happen. But the consumer, that's why we want to see these October numbers at 10 o'clock, because the consumer had been the strength of the economy. Retail sales slowed, consumer spending slowed last month. Did that continue? What's the setup going into the fourth quarter?
You're such a hitter. Have you ever been to a turkey pardoning? A presidential turkey party?
I've been to
what really happens?
Pardoning. Under ordinary presidencies, the president comes out and just wishes basically everybody a happy Thanksgiving. It's a photo op for the president. And
where's the turkey before they perfectly get the beast aligned with the president's hand on?
Well, they have a turkey farm. They usually get them, I think, from Virginia. They bring them in, and they get some photogenic turkeys and bring them out onto the rose garden.
After the lineup, the turkey lineup,
And actually, I've read many times that they take the turkeys the night before. They have a suite at the hotel.
Okay, nobody cares. What do they do?
Wasn't at the Trump Hotel, I noticed.
I don't know how much noise turkeys make, but if you've ever been in a hotel and you hear a dog
I'm sure they were
gobble,
just
gobble,
the noise.
all night long.
Mike, I'm sure they're at the Hay Adams overlooking Lafayette Square. That's great. What do they do the day after with the turkey? Oh, reportage one.
Well, those turkeys they take out to the farm and leave them there for perhaps another year. I don't know if.
Oh, you lie.
I don't know if the pardon
fake news
is a permanent pardon or not. Whether they have double jeopardy the year after.
We need to say thank you for your travel this year. There was a period where we didn't see you for like 6 months because you were doing NAFTA.
They made me come back and fund.
Did you ever go from from Ottawa to Mexico City? Is that like a direct route?
It's not a direct route, no. I think we went Mexico City to Montreal once.
Yeah.
But it looks, the latest news is...
still don't have it.
Well, they may get it. There's still a lot of complications ahead in the sense...
Is this just Speaker Pelosi holding it up for political purposes, or are there real stumbling blocks?
Well, it's all political purposes in the sense that the stumbling blocks are things that she needs to get changed so that her members will vote for it. They probably will approve it anyway, but she's just waiting for the paper copy. She says they've reached agreement, but then they have to take it, if there are major changes, they have to take that back to the Mexicans and Canadians and say, can you guys live with this? And there's a meeting in Washington today with the trade ministers from those two countries, and so maybe by the end of the day we'll have a much better idea of the prognosis.
Paul, to me it's still NAFTA, and there's some new name that nobody cares about, so they're going to change it to Pasternak so everybody can remember the name.
New NAFTA.
Yeah, just try to get people to spell Pasternak.
That's detail. Michael McKee, thank you so much, head of all of our economic coverage and on the road with Fed presidents through the year with messages and important depth discussions of the stuff that's cursory and on the surface, going much further than most. Paul, I got to lift to the market. I mean, off this data and to the, I'm going to go back to low volume.
Yep.
The market doesn't go down. Can we start with that?
The market doesn't go down. It's news when we have a down week, and we haven't. Obviously, we've had just such a grind up, as I think we've been referring to it here, and little bit of positive balance on the trade situation, decent economic data. The Fed on the sidelines until what most folks are saying is mid to late next year. That's pretty, and the yield's still low, Tom. So I guess I'm buying equities.
And dollar strength in the last 24 minutes off of the trade news. Yes, we went through a 109. Weaker euro today, stronger dollar. Second time in days through a 109. Futures up 3. On this Wednesday, please drive, fly, and train careful. This is Bloomberg.
This is a Bloomberg.
Something explosive is coming to the home of rugby. When Harlequins meet Leicester Tigers, expect fireworks. With tickets from £17 children and £27 adults, Big Game 12 is more than a Gallagher Premiership rugby fixture. It's London's biggest rugby party. Enjoy music, entertainment and a truly incredible atmosphere before the big game kicks off at 4:30pm, Saturday 28th of December at Twickenham Stadium. Go to tickets.quins.co.uk or search Big Game 12.
On 3, our unlimited data is actually unlimited, like for reals. That means you can scroll and scroll and scroll through all the Black Friday deals.
Because we have no speed limits, no data caps, and you'll be 5G ready at no extra cost.
Wow, so many savings.
Our Black Friday deals are now on. Save up to £480. Switch to 3, in-store or online. See 3.co.uk/unlimited-data. Savings on selected phones on 24-month contracts. Ends 5th of December. Terms apply.
Did you really get those trainers half price?
Yeah, nice, right? From Zalando. They have new deals every day for Cyber Week.
This is an express service to a whole week of cyber deals, calling out footwear, sportswear, winter looks, designer styles, and more.
Cyber Week at Zalando. Save up to 70% on your favorite styles. Zalando. Free to be.
I've got a great idea, but none of the gear.
Whatever project you're planning, head to the B&Q Tool Shop. Get hands-on in-store with our wide range of tools and explore everything from saws to sanders. Our helpful team will make sure you find the right tool for the job. The B&Q Tool Shop. You can do it when you B&Q it.
At Bloomberg.com, on the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is Bloomberg Radio. This is Bloomberg Surveillance Economics.
The Federal Reserve's independence is crucial.
Central banks should be prepared and not presumptuous.
Finance.
In order to grow, you need to innovate.
Global money doesn't like uncertainty.
Investment.
I think the issue in the market is really more about the possibility of a recession in the next couple of years.
I do think we need to get back to where we have always been, the American dream.
Bloomberg Surveillance with Tom Keene and Paul Sweeney on Bloomberg Radio.
Good morning, everyone. Lisa Abramowitz out. John Farrell out. Paul Sweeney and Tom Keene very in. Thank you for being with us on this Wednesday. Please travel carefully. We're going to get right to that. Futures up to red on the screen. Dow futures at -5. So what we're going to do, just because of a busy top of this 9 o'clock Wall Street time hour, let's get right to it. What you need to know from Colby, Kansas, out to the Colorado border, I-70 shut down. Big storm in California. I add up about 38 million people affected by some form of serious weather advisory with a national perspective before we look at the East Coast. Always the best. Rob Carolyn joins us, our Bloomberg meteorologist. Rob, is it just another Thanksgiving, or is this one different?
No, this is different. We had a historic storm slam into Oregon and Northern California yesterday, Tom. More what we get on the East Coast, a bomb. They had a bomb cyclone in California, gust to 69 last night in Crescent City. Rain right now almost all the way down to Los Angeles, which is good for that fire in Santa Barbara. Right now, the airports in California look good, but I have a feeling as traffic increases, we'll start to see some delays at SFO, Oakland, and LAX today.
Link your work into airplanes, because the plane A's got to get from here to there, and pilots got to get from C to D, etc. Do you just assume a lot of airline angst over discrete regional weather issues?
Yes, but the regional weather issues are concentrated today. They can handle rain better than they can handle snow, and the snow's been relatively limited, Tom. Mm-hmm. Minneapolis is having delays this morning because of snow. Denver, they're coming out of their delays. They're actually less than 15 minutes now, even though eastern Colorado had between 10 and 20 inches of snow. So they're doing better. I see potential delays with the rain later today from New York down to about Raleigh-Durham. The big problem is going to be the wind with the storm in Wisconsin. We may have delays Buffalo, Pittsburgh, on down towards Nashville later today.
So, Rob, are the most important question for the folks in New York and Thanksgiving is the balloons. Do you think they're going to be flying tomorrow, or is that wind?
I don't know. I'd say, I think they're going to be too high. It's going to be very gusty tomorrow, especially when you funnel that wind in between the canyons of the buildings. I think just for the second time, we may not see the balloons go up since 1924.
So is the traffic so bad that I'm going to end up having Thanksgiving at that Burger King at Route 24 and 495?
Probably not. You just got to wait, let things settle back. The good news is up in New England, the rain's not going to start until later this afternoon and this evening.
Good.
So if you're traveling before 1 or 2 o'clock, you're okay.
Rob Carolyn, thank you for your work through the year. He is our Bloomberg meteorologist. David Wilson checks in on stock. John Deere, you got to go with that.
Absolutely, Tom. I mean, Deere shares down 4.5% in early trading. The farm equipment makers said net income will drop as much as 17% this fiscal year. Analysts were expecting profit to be up 6.5% based on the average estimate in a Bloomberg survey. Deere cited trade tensions and slowing economic growth. So you look at Caterpillar, it's down 1%. You look at CNH Industrial, it's down 2.5%. So Deere's results having ripple effects across the industry. Boeing's down 1%. U.S. regulators told the plane maker they'll maintain full control over final approval of newly made 737 MAX jets once production resumes. once it happens. It's not like they're going to let Boeing employees do the routine sign-offs related to those final approvals. Dell Technologies down 4%. The computer maker's earnings and revenue for the fiscal third quarter were lower than estimates. Dell cut its full-year sales forecast. Now, they cited a shortage of personal computer chips from Intel and said they'll consider using more chips from Advanced Micro Devices. You're seeing moves in both those stocks. Intel down about 0.5%. AMD up 1%. VMware, part of Dell, up 2.5%. The software company's third quarter profit and sales beat analysts' highest projections. And HP, talking PCs, up 1.5%. They make those computers as well as printers. HP posted fiscal fourth quarter profit and sales that beat projections and raised earnings forecasts for the fiscal year. Keysight Technologies up 2%. The maker of measuring equipment posted fourth quarter earnings and revenue that surpassed estimates. On the other hand, Autodesk down 1%. Their profit and sales forecast for the fiscal fourth quarter came up short of estimates.
You cooking at home this year?
No, not this year. Going out to friend's house.
Friend's house.
Yeah.
Smart.
Nice.
He's smarter than we are.
He knows what he's doing.
Well, that's all my wife. I just go along for the ride.
Literally. Bloomberg Stocks editor Dave Wilson, thank you so much. Tom, I'm not sure if you're watching cable TV anymore, if you're just binging on the streaming services, but healthcare ads, medical ads are just everywhere. Everywhere.
Everybody's like 85 and,
exactly.
needs a
it's
pill.
everywhere. So it's one of the fastest growing areas of advertising, but there's some questions about pricing and disclosing a pricing. Valerie Bauman, Bloomberg Law healthcare reporter, joins us. So Valerie, I know there are definitely some issues within the healthcare and the media industries about what kind of pricing needs to be disclosed on some of these advertisements.
Well, that's a question that is headed to court right now. The Trump administration is trying to impose a rule on drug makers that would require them to disclose the list price, also known as the wholesale acquisition price. And what critics are saying is that while the Trump administration's goal is laudable, trying to keep down prices, the wholesale acquisition price actually has nothing to do with what any consumer would actually pay. If you have any kind of insurance, Medicaid or Medicare, or even if you don't and you have access to some kind of coupon or discount through the company's website, very few people ever pay this price. So critics are saying this rule that would require drug companies to disclose a price could actually discourage some consumers from actually getting drugs that they may need because it'll look like the drug's much more expensive than it really is.
So what's the timing of this lawsuit? Because it would seem like really, really key to these healthcare companies. Again, I'm just thinking about how much they advertise now for their products and how competitive the marketplace is.
Well, the Trump administration and the drug companies opposing this just filed their final briefs on this issue this week. It's going to be back in court on January 13th in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit.
Is there any evidence that these ads really work? I mean, again, you just watch cable television and they're just brutal to watch.
Well, I've talked to a number of physicians over the years as a healthcare reporter, and the truth is it does work. Doctors will tell you all the time. They get patients coming in saying, well, I heard about such and such on the TV. Prescribe it to me. So it really is a big issue for drug makers because they're saying this is where we get our customers. And it comes down to, in some ways, a freedom of speech issue. Compelling speech is not something that's really condoned under the First Amendment, even though there's less protections for the freedom of speech in consumer advertising.
Valerie, earlier this summer, Emily Ralala in the Washington Post talked about Fort Francis up north of Minnesota and Kansas. And I don't know the exact math, folks, but basically it's $1,500 for insulin here. Or excuse me, it's $10,000 for insulin here, and it's $1,500 up there. Would you explain the dollar disparity between Canada and the United States?
Well, Canada has a different approach. A lot of other countries, including in Europe, will actually use their power as a government buyer to negotiate lower prices. That's something that the United States has shied away from doing. As the backbone of Medicare or Medicaid, theoretically the government could use that buying power and say, drug makers, we will not buy your product if it's above such and such price. And they could negotiate much as, any business leaders would in a typical deal. It's not something you see in America. It's something that's been resisted and lobbied against heavily by the industry.
And that's simply a function, Valerie, of just big pharma, right? I mean, it's just we've seen the strength of big pharma in the healthcare sector overall. Is that basically what's happening here?
That's certainly a key factor. That I'm a legal reporter. I'm not on the Hill, but you hear frequently that pharma is aggressively lobbying against anything that would give the government the power to take that negotiation step. And it's interesting to me, just as somebody who consumes the news, that as everybody from Nancy Pelosi to Trump himself are talking about how to control prices, why that particular approach isn't really part of the discussion.
Valerie Bowman, thank you so much. Wonderful work for Bloomberg Law here on a hugely emotional issue. Yeah, you talk around a Thanksgiving table. Sure. 100% likelihood that every single house this comes up.
Yep. Drug prices, they just, the rate of inflation in drug prices is just extraordinary. And for most households, it is a significant weight.
Yeah. I just, it's the stories like the one that was in the Post earlier, the Bloomberg Law Brilliance that they put out daily is just a huge issue. I get a ton of mail on it from people when we talk about it. I mean, it's just a major thing. And it's not just about Canada. It's about everywhere else as well. What we've got is a churn to the market. The major message here is off good economic data. I've got a euro breaching 110, 109.99. Okay, it's a thousandth of a point, whatever that decimal point is. Was that hundreds, 10,000? A 10,000th.
There we go.
It's a pip.
I'm going to call it 110.
1 pip. I'm going to call that. Euro dollar 109.98 right now. Yen 109.24. So that's a stronger yen mixed in here with all-in dollar strength. In the equity markets, it's that Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Right now, let's get some national headlines with Michael Barr. Michael.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you, Tom. The House Judiciary Committee begins impeachment hearings a week from today. Judiciary and lawmakers are set to meet to hear from legal experts examining the constitutional grounds for President Donald Trump's impeachment. A fire is still blazing at a chemical plant near Texas's Gulf Coast after an explosion that injured 3 people early today and led to the shutdown of a waterway connecting oil refineries to the Gulf Coast. The blast involved a processing unit at TPC Group's Port Neches facility. The blast at the plant was so powerful it damaged nearby homes. An estimated 55 million Americans are traveling for the Thanksgiving holiday, in many places encountering icy, snowy, or rainy roads. Global News, 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok, on Twitter. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts, more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg Time.
Michael Barr, thanks so much. S&P downgrades Rolls-Royce to BBB-. No, not Bentley Rolls-Royce, the turbines. Airplane engines. This is Bloomberg. Good morning.
Business is constantly evolving. Is your financial printer evolving to keep ahead of the curve? At Command Financial, we are redefining financial printing by providing industry-leading expertise, leveraging technology, and honing processes and best practices. Every day, Command helps SEC registrants, as well as members of their working groups, including securities attorneys and investment bankers, prepare, file, and disseminate regulatory and disclosure documents, such as registration statements, M&A documents, and mutual fund prospectuses and reports. Command provides a full range of services to help you effectively complete your deal, meet your disclosure requirements, and achieve your shareholder communications objectives. Visit our website at commandfinancial.com and learn how we're evolving, not only with the times, but also with your business requirements. Command Financial, redefining financial printing.
Imagine being denied an apartment because of your religion, or your race, or because you have children, or a disability.
It's so wrong. Yes, but who has the power to stop this?
You do. Each of us has the power. The law is on your side. It's illegal for landlords to discriminate because of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, or familial status. If you suspect that you have experienced housing discrimination, file a complaint with HUD immediately so we can investigate it. Fair housing is your right.
Use it.
To learn more, visit HUD.gov/fairhousing. That's HUD.gov/fair housing. Or call 1-800-669-9777. 1-800-669-9777. A public service message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
Why do I've got to tell you about our beautiful city break in Bath. Midweek is the perfect time to beat the crowds. Just an hour and a half by train from London. It was so relaxing. We headed straight for Bath Christmas Market. Oh, I can still smell the roasted chestnuts and mulled wine from the chalets. Then it was time for glow-in-the-dark mini-golf. I got a hole-in-one. Well, 3. I'm a bit rusty, okay? There's so much to do in Bath. I'm already planning my next trip.
Discover the magic of Bath this Christmas. Plan ahead at visitbath.co.uk/Christmas.
'Tis the season to be hunched over your laptop. Not on our watch. In real life, you can fill your senses and your baskets. Feel all the sights, sounds, lols, and OMGs. Wear laughing emojis on actual smiley faces. Battery is running low. Take the kids to Santa's Grotto. In real life, you can find just the right present using the most advanced search engine in the world. Your eyes. We can't in real life. Brent Cross, London. Free parking for all sleighs and cars.
Listen up, it's the head teacher here. Please pay attention. We need you all to collect as many Books for Schools tokens and the Sun as possible. When we've got 3,500, the school will get over £600 worth of free books. If you don't, it's detention. Start collecting Books for Schools tokens and the Sun today. T's and C's apply.
I love Black Friday. Busy shops, crazy people, average deals. It's so much fun.
Said no one ever. So be savvy and do Black Friday the easy way with Smarty. Grab a huge 100 gig data SIM for just £17 a month on the Mega Plan. And with no credit checks, speed restrictions or contracts tying you down, you can kick back with the best Black Friday deal around. Now that's Smarty. Search Smarty Mobile to find out more, but hurry, as this deal won't be around for long. See smarty.co.uk for terms.
Here's Paul Allen.
Boris Johnson faces the biggest crisis of Brexit to date if he wins the election and then tries to negotiate a quick and dirty trade deal with the EU before the end of 2020. Now, that's according to the UK's former ambassador to the bloc, and he's quoted there in the FT. So let's discuss all of this with Harvard Kennedy School senior fellow Paul Sherd. We do have the polls projecting Boris Johnson to win a pretty handy majority in this election. If this doesn't go to script, can you see a scenario where the UK is back in a big mess?
Well, Paul, I think there is always that possibility, and again, it's a brave person that thumps the table in terms of what the election results will be ahead of time. But all things considered, it does look like the most likely scenario is that the Johnson-led Tory government will regain a majority, and that's going to be a very important parameter here, because bear in mind what was really sort of causing so much angst over the last year or so was the fact that the May government and then the Johnson government was a minority government, and of course over time lost more members, so it really had very little leverage. If they do get a majority in this election, that will be a bit of a game changer in terms of managing the whole parliamentary process.
Hear more interviews like this one on Bloomberg Television, streaming live on Bloomberg.com and on the Bloomberg mobile app. Or check your local cable listings. Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And I'm John Tucker in the Bloomberg Newsroom with this Bloomberg Business Flash, where it's now 9:17. Well, equity futures, they're edging slightly higher. This as risk-on feel across the globe that has driven the American benchmarks to record highs. Showing a few signs of abating right now. The dollar gaining, Treasury yields rising after data on economic growth, claims for unemployment that beat analyst estimates. Contracts in the S&P 500, they trimmed the earlier gains. This after we got the farm equipment maker Deere & Company falling in the pre-market. This after the income guidance missed estimates. Right now, S&P futures, they're up at 2 points. The NASDAQ E-mini futures right now 13 points higher, and the Dow futures up only a point. We're seeing some dollar strength across the board this morning. Japanese yen through 109.26 right now. That's down 0.2% against the greenback. 10-year yield in the U.S. 176. The price is down by 6 30 seconds. And we check the markets for you every 15 minutes during the trading day right here on Bloomberg Radio. I'm John Tucker. That's your Bloomberg Business Flash. Tom and Paul.
John Tucker, thank you so much. Futures up to a little bit of a lift of the screen on this odd Wednesday for the markets. Markets open. Is that right, Paul, through 4? Like the markets are open?
I think it's a full day. Everybody's working.
Full day. And everyone is working and sneak out the door and all that. It is a joy to speak with a gentleman from Pennsylvania and Florida. His name is Mr. Kotak, David Kotak with Cumberland Advisors. David, before we get to your important essay on the poisonous idea of negative interest rates, you have provided national leadership on the challenges to agriculture in China. And this is centered around your pioneering bird flu work years ago. Pork is stratospheric in China and has a profound impact. It's not the same as bird flu, but there's a little bit of related biology, microbiology, and virology here. Your thoughts on the durability of this pork crisis for China?
Oh, my gosh. Good morning and happy Thanksgiving. And you just made the case of why turkey is so important. The issue of flu is that it mutates. We know that. We saw it from bird flu. We saw it from other viruses. In this case, the shock to China is huge. Michael Drury, who tracks those pork prices perfectly in China and has developed a whole price indicator based on what's happening there, describes the shock in the country. It's like the most basic food source has an inflation spike and a shortage. And, of course, it happens in the middle of all the agricultural components of the trade war between the United States and China. Yeah. So there's a big effect here, too.
So, David, just to follow up on that a little bit, is China more susceptible to these types of viruses, whether it's poultry or beef or pork?
I don't know whether China's more susceptible. There's medical expertise on that far beyond anything I hold. What we do see is we have these originations coming from Asia, which affect and have potential to be effective worldwide. And we never know with a virus. The only thing you know about a virus is it will change. So this is a situation which is huge in China, has international effects, and the results are yet to be seen, which is the case with every one of these.
So, David, let's switch gears to your recent research note on negative interest rates. Obviously, a significant issue for Germany, for Japan, and some other countries as well. What is your basic thesis about what's going on with some of these markets with negative interest rates and their implications?
We worked on the paper for a number of months to put together and verify that the thinking was supportable. And essentially it works like this. If you have positive interest rates, the farther out you go, you have a traditional yield curve, one that we're usually accustomed to in most countries and certainly the United States. Then the longer out you go, the more you're paid, and therefore you have an incentive for a longer maturity. If you have negative interest rates and the yield curve is increasingly negative as maturity goes out, then the longer out you go, the more you are penalized. And therefore, in a negative interest rate scheme such as we have in Europe, the incentive is to be very short term because the penalty is lower. In the positive interest rate scheme, such as what we have in the United States, then you're incented to go longer. And the effect of that is to distort forward rates, the notional derivatives, of which there are probably 500 trillion worldwide, and ultimately compress yield curves worldwide to be parallel. And in fact, that's what they look like today.
What did you learn about extricating ourselves from a negative rate experiment?
Well, Madame Lagarde has the most difficult task now. She's a superb politician, and she has all the credentials. And what she has to do is herd the cats into the room and say, look, we're killing our banks, we're killing our insurance companies, we are not getting much growth. There was an ECB economist out today saying we still get some stimulus. Well, I'm not so sure. John Author's column, where he was kind enough to quote my work, but in John Author's column on Monday, Tom, he articulated case after case after case, country after country, on the damaging effects of negative rates. I thought John was marvelous in documenting them.
And Mr. Authors has been on fire, folks, in writing. I mean, he's always good, but he gets these moments, you know. It's like the Boston Bruins. He gets these moments where he just puts it on fire. And Mr. Authors has been lights out. We've tried to effort him. He doesn't do early morning. No. He's such a rock star. I think the day starts like at 10 a.m.
Sure, why not?
Something like that. David Kotak, have a wonderful Thanksgiving in regards to your family in Florida. Mr. Kotak, of course, his leadership for the years, really in municipal bonds, the core business, and also, of course, at Cumberland Advisors. Red and green on the screen. Futures up 3. Dow futures at -2. It is the 4th Wednesday of November. Wherever you are, be safe. This is Bloomberg.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. The government cranked up the numbers machine ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday. Reports on durable goods orders, economic growth, and new unemployment claims are all better than expected. Durable goods orders rose 0.6% last month. The gross domestic product expanded at a 2.1% annual rate in the third quarter, and new claims for jobless benefits fell by 15,000 to 213,000 last week. Still to come this morning, reports on personal incomes, consumer spending, and consumer comfort, and the Fed releases a new beige book later in the day. British American Tobacco lowered its sales growth outlook for the year. The maker of Lucky Strike cigarettes cited health concerns about smoking and a price war among e-cigarette makers. And Facebook is buying Beat Games, the Prague-based studio behind a popular virtual reality game called Beat Saber. Beat Games will join the social network's Oculus gaming studio. Jeff Bellinger, Bloomberg Radio.
Have you wanted to speak a new language, but you thought it'd be too hard or take too much time? Then go to Babbel.com, download the app, and try it for free. In just 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. And right now, you can try Babbel for free. Babbel starts out teaching you words and phrases by matching them with pictures. You won't believe how easy the interactive program is. Soon the sentences get a little bigger, and before you know it, you're having simulated conversations voiced by native speakers. And because Babbel is crafted by language experts and uses the spaced repetition method, in just 10 to 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking the language of your choice with real confidence. With Babbel, you can speak a language. Just go to Babbel.com and start your first lesson in the language of your choice for free. Download the Babbel app or go to Babbel.com and try it for free. That's Babbel.com.
Why has J.D. Power ranked...
There is simply nothing else like it. Giraffe strut, bird swoop, gazelles leap. And as the music soars, the entire Serengeti comes to life around you. This is Disney's The Lion King. Experience it at London's Lyceum Theatre. Visit thelionking.co.uk.
Everybody needs somebody.
At Amazon, find everything you need to make the kids smile this Christmas. You can get items like the LOL Surprise 2-in-1 Blamper, Monopoly with electronic voice banking, and the Barbie 3-story townhouse. All with low prices and free UK delivery on eligible orders over £20. So there'll be more, and more.
Wow, thanks, Mum and Dad.
Amazon, delivering all you need for the kids for less.
This Black Friday, get Sky Entertainment for £22 a month, then feel it all with a spectacular 50% off Sky Sports, including the Manchester Derby and the darts. Build your perfect bundle today. Choose any or all of our Sky TV packages and get an incredible 50% off. Hurry, join today. Visit sky.com.
Offer ends 2nd of December. New 18-month minimum terms or 31 days notice to cancel depending on package. Discount on standard pricing with same minimum terms. Set up £25. Kit allowed at no cost.
At Ring, we've reinvented the doorbell. So no matter where you are, you can watch over your home and the things you care about. Ring Video Doorbell streams HD video and two-way talk straight to your phone, so you can speak to whoever's at your door from anywhere.
Delivery.
Oh, great. Could you leave it with my neighbour, please?
Sure, no problem.
See, hear and speak to whoever's at your door from wherever you are with Ring Video Doorbell. For exclusive Black Friday offers on selected video doorbells and cameras, visit ring.com and major retailers.
If there's one thing you look forward to most on Thanksgiving, besides stuffing yourself with bottomless mashed potatoes and gravy, oh yeah, it's football. And wherever you are at game time, you can catch the NFL's epic Turkey Day triple feature on TuneIn this Thursday, starting at 12:30 Eastern. Don't miss the back-to-back-to-back lineup of Bears v. Lions, Bills v. Cowboys, and Saints v. Falcons. Whether you're driving to the in-laws or carving the bird, search NFL on TuneIn to hear the holiday action. Happy Thanksgiving.
Got a big journey ahead for Thanksgiving with the family? Well, don't forget to take TuneIn along for the ride. With live 24-hour news from MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News Talk, you can catch up on the big stories and stay informed while you're on the road.
Other companies whose shares have hit all-time highs today include Jack Daniels maker Brown-Forman. Its shares started
Just try not to bring up politics at dinner. Trust us. Happy Thanksgiving from TuneIn.
Broadcasting live from the Bloomberg Interactive Brokers Studio in New York. Bloomberg 1130 to Washington, D.C. Bloomberg 99.1 to Boston. Bloomberg 1061 to San Francisco. Bloomberg 960 to the country. Sirius XM Channel 119 and around the globe. The Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Bloomberg Surveillance.
Yeah, good morning. John Tucker, the opening bell report being brought to you by SEI. Today's competitive marketplace requires asset managers to become more operationally adept. See how you can transform your business with SEI's global platform at SEIC.com/IMS. All morning long, we've seen futures, especially later in the morning after the latest data and earnings from Deere, kind of waffling in between gains and losses, at least for the Dow. Right now, at the outset, the Dow is up 17 points at 28,133. The S&P 500 right now up 5 points. That's a gain of 0.2% at 3145 after yesterday's record close. Nasdaq Composite Index right now 21 points higher. That's up 0.3%. We're at 8,669. We check the markets for you every 15 minutes during the trading day right here on Bloomberg Radio. I'm John Tucker. That's your Bloomberg Business Flash. Tom.
John Tucker, thanks so much. Of course, as Paul Sweeney knows, I mean, he's got the yard out there, the acreage to the west. He's got the John Deere 6080A precision cut real mower.
That's absolutely.
It's what you do. You can do the yard in like 3 swipes, right?
Yeah, that's what. It gets the job done. I like to see on top of that.
So let's go industrial here and talk about the tentativeness of American industry. Why don't you bring in our extinguished guest?
Karen Ubelhart, Bloomberg Intelligence. She covers all things industrial. You think about the Rust Belt, you think Karen Ubelhart. She's been doing it for a long time. So let's just start. I know we talked to your protege, Chris Cialino, earlier in the day about the Deere numbers. I'm wondering, and the guidance was disappointing. They cited China. Across your universe of industrial companies, agricultural companies, is this issue really coming home to roost, i.e. the trade difficulties with China coming home to hit the Farm Belt?
The Farm Belt is one of the areas that has gotten hit the most because our big grains are soybeans and corn, and China buys half of our soybeans. So they've been really whacked. But companies, industrial companies across the board have seen the impact. A lot of them have big holdings, particularly large companies. 3M is, 11% of sales is in China. So they're seeing it in China, too. The economic growth slowdown there is hitting them. And it's hitting here as well. The uncertainty is making customers pull back on some of the long lead time projects. So it has spread, and organic growth is, down in just about everything except aerospace.
So what are the companies that you cover saying, again, the big industrial companies, are they saying we're just trying to cut costs and ride this thing out, or is there anything they can particularly do here given the uncertainty?
I think it's the former. A few of the companies have been, frankly, gotten in front of the slowdown and cut costs pretty dramatically. Emerson, Honeywell, some of the others pulled out their, quote, recession books to get ready. So margins have actually held up pretty well. The volume has not been there, but so far they've been able to deliver on margins.
I know you don't do buy, hold, sell, but you mentioned Minnesota mining and manufacturing. 3M, boy, is this unloved. 2 buys, 15 holds, and 4 say go away. John Inch, Gordon Haskett, hold. Jeff Sprague at Vertical, he was brilliant on GE.
Sergeant Sprague.
Hold, yes, of course, Sergeant Sprague. But Karen, when does 3M, do they just slog on? Or do they have to do a management revolution at this iconic American company?
They have a big potential legal liability with the chemical PFAS, and that's one of those black hole things that is unmeasurable at this point, and people are concerned about. But in addition to that, the new CEO hasn't done a great job of A, communicating, and B, they've had some misses and he's on the road more now. You see him on TV and radio a lot more now because he's got to tell the story better.
What's the story to a venerable industrial, forget about 3M, a venerable industrial company that makes a lot of different things? I mean, that's the game.
Yes.
Is the game over?
It's funny, as you saw in the last 2 years, right? All of these companies are splitting up and they're becoming more focused. Ingersoll next year, Fortive, UTX is splitting out everything.
Well, let's take Ingersoll Rand. Ingersoll Rand is a hugely venerable name. I remember interviewing their Dynamics CEO 10 years ago. They had 12 divisions and all that.
They're just going to be
it's
HVAC.
Gone.
They're going to be focused on, HVAC and building controls and things like that. They're getting rid of all their industrial businesses. JCI did the same thing, got rid of all the auto business, all the battery business. They're now just building controls. So you're seeing pressure to focus. Emerson is under pressure right now with an activist to do similar things.
But this is important, Paul. Is this the market speaking or hedge fund activists speaking, and does it lead to true shareholder return?
I think it's going to be really interesting myself. I feel that when we have our first big bad downturn, all these companies that are now focused are going to get whacked harder.
Paul, exactly where I wanted to go. She said it better than me.
I know. As you look out to 2020, I know you folks in Bloomberg Intelligence do your 2020 outlooks. You think about some of these big industrial companies. Is when you do your 2020 outlook, are you just like their corporate development people saying, tell me what happens with China trade and I'll tell you what we're going to do in 2020?
It's had an impact, a broader impact on global growth. There are the PMIs for all the major regions are all below 50 except for Brazil, which doesn't really matter that much. So it is broad. Europe is very, very weak. The U.S. is the strongest, but it's now got a PMI that is below 50.
This is critical, what we're talking about. The modern MBA experiment is a consultant comes in and says, break up your multi-sector conglomerate.
And, multis, when I first started doing this, multis got premiums.
GE is, the ultimate premium.
Because of that stability, because of all the businesses they were in. Now they're saying, focus, initially under pressure from activists, right? And in some cases not. But I'm just waiting for the downturn, and then they're going to put them together because the cycles are going to hurt.
What does Mr. Culp's Danaher do that the others don't? Because Danaher gets a valuation.
At this point, let's say new Danaher without Fortive is very healthcare. So it's got
so
oriented.
It's focused
so it's got
as well. Excuse me.
It's got a stability there. I mean, they've got some other smaller businesses.
Paul, I think this is a huge issue.
It is.
I mean, it's like lemmings over a cliff where there's a strategy. Vogue. I'm not one to judge the vogue, but I'm identifying that there is a vogue.
Yep.
Yeah, like remember in the 60s when there was, conglomerates are in, and then in the 80s, conglomerates were out.
You were too young to remember that.
Well,
you're saying, spell it,
in the
Tenneco?
80s, I remember.
I know Tenneco vote.
Yep.
And I was the only kid in school that could spell it.
And so it waxes and wanes. And right now it's focus. And, if you're, in a pure industrial business and you have no place to hide, part of the balance of Honeywell having chemicals and then having aerospace and, then having their buildings business, they don't all go the same way.
Is Honeywell still Honeywell, or are they going to go like everybody
Honeywell
else?
did their cleanup, I think, and as long as performance is great, I think they're okay.
You love this industrial stuff, don't you?
Yeah.
I used to live this.
Yeah.
I mean, they
got their pressure. They wanted them to split aerospace, and he immediately responded to them, and he came out and got rid of his two more cyclical, low growth businesses.
I've never seen you this fired up.
It's Thanksgiving. I mean, this is it. Deer reporting. You got all these big industrial companies.
Yes.
Nobody's talking Uber. Nobody's talking Lyft or WeWork. We're talking Ingersoll Rand.
Ingersoll Rand. I mean, folks, I hope, send us in emails. Would you rather listen about Uber and Lyft and all these unicorny WeWork and
we're industrial.
All that, or Emerson? How's Emerson doing? They've always lagged.
Emerson, they're in a lot of late cycle stuff. Their process businesses.
Come on, they haven't had a fire under them in 30 years.
They have pressure now. D.E. Shaw bought in and want them to
consider
splitting up. And
we'll see you Friday. Karen O'Bard, thank you so much. Bloomberg Intelligence on Industrial America. Yields are higher by 2 basis points after good economic data. This is Bloomberg.
Let's get national headlines right now with Michael Barr. Michael.
Paul, Tom, the House Judiciary Committee begins impeachment hearings a week from today. Democratic Congresswoman Madeline Dean of Pennsylvania, a member of the Judiciary Committee, says she hopes the president or his representatives will participate in the hearings.
I hope the president does come forward or have his counsel come forward so that they can fully participate. Let's think about it. The president has had ample opportunity to bring forward exculpatory evidence. We've seen none of it. It's time for the president to participate if he has any counter information to the extraordinary depths of the wrongdoing.
President Trump insists he has done nothing wrong. Elizabeth Warren's steady rise in the polls has shifted into reverse as attacks from her Democratic rivals over her Medicare for All plan are taking a toll. A Quinnipiac survey found that Warren has dropped by 14 points since October when she topped the field in the same poll. Joe Biden now has a clear lead, and Warren is in a 3-way tie for second place with Pete Buttigieg and Bernie Sanders. A chemical company says 3 people were injured in an explosion at its plant in East Texas. The powerful blast in Port Neches blew out the windows of homes. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg. Paul, Tom?
Thanks very much, Michael Barr. The market's open 10 minutes into the cash session on this Thanksgiving Eve. Very, very quiet open here. S&P up about 5.5, Dow down 8, NASDAQ up 19. Very quiet open, but we will get you there to Thanksgiving. This is Bloomberg.
Rich is just a really good guy. The term good egg isn't enough to describe him. He's also certified organic and free range. Rich puts the cap back on everything. The toothpaste, the olive oil, the shampoo, everything. He lets his 10-year-old nephew beat him at virtual tennis, even though he can straight up slay his 10-year-old nephew in virtual tennis. When the toilet paper is running low, Rich replaces the roll on the actual holder, not just on the back of the toilet. Rich is texting and driving. Rich, no. What are you doing, Rich? I was just telling everyone how great you are. Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Asset managers who seize change to launch new strategies, add distribution channels, or exploit new technology to re-engineer the investor experience are often rewarded. However, in an industry paralyzed with complexity, few act with agility or decisively. Few run their business strategically. Yet, the most competitive managers in the market know, with the right partner and a flexible operating platform, you can. Go boldly toward change with SEI
SEI Investment Manager Services.
Determination and operational strength are both essential factors for growth in asset management. I'm Steve Meyer, President and Head of SEI's Investment Manager Services Division. We know that disruptive forces create opportunities around the world. If you see potential in change, our industry specialists will maximize SEI's integrated platform of data and risk management, global investment operations, compliance support, and investor services to position your asset management business for success. Come grow with us.
With SEI Investment Manager Services, you lead the charge in a competitive marketplace. Learn more at SEIC.com/seize change.
This is a Bloomberg.
I love Black Friday. Busy shops, crazy people, average deals. It's so much fun.
Said no one ever. So be savvy and do Black Friday the easy way with Smarty. Grab a huge 100 gig data SIM for just £17 a month on the Mega Plan. And with no credit checks, speed restrictions or contracts tying you down, you can kick back with the best Black Friday deal around. Now that's Smarty. Search Smarty Mobile to find out more, but hurry, as this deal won't be around for long. See smarty.co.uk for terms.
Did you know that at Boots.com, there are thousands of amazing gifts to choose from? And if you order online, they can be delivered to the boots of your choice for collection. So gift like you get them at the fantastical choice of thousands of gifts to order and collect boutique. Charges may apply. See Boots.com for details.
Drive into the in-laws' house for Thanksgiving? Having a long airport layover on your way home? Or maybe you're camping out on Black Friday in quest of the deal of the season. Whatever the case, ease the pain and make it a long weekend to remember with TuneIn. Featuring nonstop music, binge-worthy podcasts, 24-hour news, and live NFL, NHL, and NBA games. At home or on the move, soundtrack your Thanksgiving with TuneIn.
NFL fans, hear every live game on TuneIn Premium. This Thanksgiving Thursday, hear the home and away call as TuneIn features all 3 Thursday games, starting at 12:30 p.m. Eastern with the Bears at the Lions. Then, at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, the Bills at the Dallas Cowboys. And to wrap it up, eat your pumpkin pie while listening to the New Orleans Saints at the Atlanta Falcons at 8:20 p.m. Eastern. At home or on the go, hear the home and away call of every NFL game this season on TuneIn Premium. Upgrade today.
At home or on the go, stay up to date on the latest news and political trends with Fox's full lineup of shows. Plus, when news breaks, Fox has you covered with live updates and expert analysis on the biggest developing stories. Listen to Fox News Talk anytime on TuneIn.
Hey, can't watch the big NBA game because your life's just too busy? I've got some news for you. TuneIn Premium is the answer to all your problems. Hear every home and away game live or on demand everywhere you go. Just search NBA to listen.
Air and at TikTok on Twitter. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in over 120 countries. This is Bloomberg Radio. Now, a global news update.
A New York Times report suggests President Trump was briefed in late August on the existence of a whistleblower complaint about his phone call with Ukraine's president. Reaction from Pennsylvania Democratic Representative Madeleine Dean.
It shows a consciousness of guilt. Then the president tries to backpedal and say no quid pro quo. And then ultimately, because he's been caught, has to release that aid. There are layers of problems within that reporting.
Tragedy this Thanksgiving Eve. Minneapolis Fire Chief John Frutel.
Unfortunately, we've had 5 people deceased in this fire. We've also got 3 additionals that are in the hospital at this point being treated.
Fire broke out this morning at a high-rise apartment building. Heavy smoke on the 16th and 17th floors forced residents to evacuate through building stairwells. Winter-like weather in the West and Midwest threatens holiday travelers. New York City expecting high winds tomorrow. I'm John Trout.
Deep understanding in record time.
$2 billion, not exactly what they were going for.
They're going to be profitable.
Bloomberg Business Week, weekday afternoons at 2 Eastern on Bloomberg Radio. Bloomberg, the world is listening. Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And I'm John Tucker in the Bloomberg Newsroom with this Bloomberg Business Flash. After yesterday's record close, S&P 500, NASDAQ, right now the indexes, they have opened higher. But Boeing is weighing on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. This comes after a report that showed structural damage from a test was greater than previously disclosed for one of its aircraft. A lot to be thankful for in the GDP revision today, according to some economists, namely the strength of the U.S. consumer. The dollar gaining, Treasury yields rising after we had data on economic growth, and also the claims for unemployment. They beat analyst estimates. Dow Jones Industrial Average 8 points lower right now. We're at 28,113. The S&P 500 4 points higher. That's up 0.2% at 3145. Nasdaq Composite Index 23 points higher. That's up 0.3%. We're at 8671. We're seeing mostly dollar strength right now across the board as we look at the Japanese yen above 109.29 right now, down 0.2% against the greenback. And 10-year yield 176. The price down by 630 seconds. We check the markets for you every 15 minutes during the trade today right here on Bloomberg Radio. I'm John Tucker. That is your Bloomberg Business Flash. Paul and Tom.
John Tucker, thank you so much. And thank you to all of you coast to coast for your many comments over the season as we discuss Harvard football. We, of course, do this for Boston 106.1 FM, but there's a real interest nationwide on maybe what football used to be. Yep. Ohio State, Michigan's big this weekend.
Yeah,
is that
that's
right?
what I hear, but...
Yeah, we'll see. Tom Murphy with us. He is the coach of Harvard. Tim Murphy, excuse me, Tim, I'm so sorry. Tim Murphy with us, and of course, most difficult losses for Harvard this season. Tim Murphy, without the lights at Yale, it gets dark as the game goes on and on. What was it like in the half-light of the Yale Bowl this time around?
A bit surreal, but I think the reality is, Tom and Paul, it was dark for both teams, so it wasn't a factor in that regard.
Talk to us about that game, Coach, because I know it is the game. Alumni from around the world stop whatever they're doing and pay attention when Harvard and Yale get together. What was a game like this year?
Well, the finish of the game, fellas, was really so symbolic of our season. And as I was walking to the post-game press conference with my wife, I couldn't help myself. I said, if there's a God, he didn't get into Harvard.